My name is Michael Gonzalez. I'm the director here at the Lighthouse Project. And welcome to an experience tonight. I'm so grateful, first of all, for all you guys coming out tonight. And we are privileged to have tonight with us an amazing person, a lecturer, a human being, and an inspiration for many souls all around the world. And his name is Rav Doniel Katz. Give you a round of applause for Rav Doniel Katz. So, wow, there he is. About a year ago, I got a glimpse of Rav Doniel Katz online through social media. And many people have known him throughout many years. But I was totally blown away by the one thing that he brought to the table. Many things that he does, but the fact that he was able to bring higher consciousness, Jewish meditation, to such a practical level for 2018, for so many people to be able to connect to that, the idea that we can connect to Hashem on very high levels. And nowadays with our generation where we're so disconnected and bogged down to materialism, he's been able to uplift that through his own ways. If you go to the Elevation Project, elevationproject.com, you can see all the courses that he's doing right now. It was just released a couple of months ago. I myself am a person who is in that group and flourishing. And the ones that know me, that talk to me about this, I'm like cloud nine about it. When we spoke about doing something like this, I said, look, it can't just be that we're just going to bring you here and you're going to do awesome things with a lot of people here in South Florida for these 2 nights, but we got to make it something that's more consistent and bring Jewish meditation on the forefront of the spiritual world here in South Florida. I am very, very grateful to welcome Rav Doniel Katz.
Wow. Shalom, Miami. Fancy meeting you here in Miami. It's very wonderful to be here. Wow, what a show. And I so much appreciate and have so much gratitude to Michael Ben Melach and all the team of the Lighthouse Project, Rabbi Wolf and his shul, and everyone else who's worked hard to make this happen, supported this night to make it happen. I'm pretty exhausted. I've been going for a week on this tour. We started in Chicago, in New York. Tonight we're in Miami, going to Canada next, Montreal and Toronto. It's pretty exciting for one lady in the front row. Baruch Hashem. To begin, I don't know why you're here tonight. I don't know if you know why you're here tonight. There's many different things that motivate very many different people. We're all diverse people from different backgrounds. But I believe with all my heart there's something that unites us all, that draws us all together, something that we're seeking. And some of us don't know what that is and don't know how to recognize it, and we chase that into everything else in the world. And the further we buy and the more that we're involved and the more money we make and the more we have struggles and the more we have pains and the more we have desires and the more we go round and round in circles, sometimes we're working harder and harder but getting further and further away from ourselves. For some people, they find that the ultimate path is the path of self-knowledge. That the ultimate path is connection to themselves. Some people find that the ultimate path is the path of the divine. The ultimate path is the connection to God, to Hashem. I really don't see those two things as separate. The intent may be separate. In some ways, sometimes, the path to get there may be separate, but I believe the destination is the same, because in our Torah, our sages always teach us that the true self is the divine self. And when person accesses themselves, not themselves as in, I want to be more successful or more talented or more eloquent or more handsome or more something, that's the false self that we identify as the true self. But the true self, the inner self, the illuminated self, is the divine self. So it interests me as a rabbi, where nothing more is beautiful and valuable and important is that people discover Hashem, God, divinity. What I think is better than that, and obviously it's not really better than that, it's the same of that, but as a way to be playful and enjoy words, is that if you can help a person unlock themselves, give them access to themselves, even if you don't mention God, not as a bait and switch, not as a trick, but as a truth, as a really deep truth, then when we can take down the noise, and we take down the pain, and we take down the fear, and we take down the ego, and we take down the car and the house and the mortgage and the job and the wife and the kids and the status and the fake suntan. Just threw that one in for Miami. Not that you need a fake suntan in Miami. Then there's divinity there. And I think the greatest challenge of the generation is we've never been more powerful, we've never been more smart, we've never been more cunning and clever and technologically savvy, and we've never been further away from ourselves. And the ultimate technology is the technology of the mind. Now a word from our sponsor. It's a good idea to turn your phones off now and in general. And that's the end of our class on Jewish meditation. That's the... Hey, we're done early. There you go. My friends, if you talk that and work with it, that's everything's better from here on in. If you had enough chutzpah, I'd walk off stage and hope you took it to heart. So as is the path of Chassidus, tonight we're going to take the path of the heart, which doesn't even mean more emotionality, it just means emotional intelligence. When I was 23, 24, I had no Jewish connection at all. I had no Jewish friends. I didn't keep Pesach Seder. I certainly didn't keep kosher. I didn't keep Rosh Hashanah. When I was 24, I had no Jewish connection at all. Now that I'm 25, why is everyone laughing at me? I don't want to ruin the ending for you, but... So I think it was when I was 23 or 24, I can't remember exactly when. I was like many Jews in the world, a spiritual seeker, and hopefully I like to think a thinker on a deeper level. And I went searching for truth, for my truth, for the capital truth, to find out if there was a capital T truth. And I went in so many different paths in the world, and I went where all Jews go when they want to come closer to the truth, which is, of course, Buddhism. It's not really funny, it just is something that's true. In Israel, here it's all the same. I ended up actually going on a 10-day Buddhist meditation retreat in ashram, and it was very, very intense. It was in the middle of a forest, an ashram in the middle of a forest. You meditated, you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you meditated every day from 4 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. So we've locked the doors, and for the next 10 days, we're all going to sit here now. And more than that, it's not just meditation for 10 days. You actually take a vow of silence for 10 days. I don't know if they called it a vow, but you made a commitment to not speak at all for 10 days. So it's pretty intense. For 10 days, from 4 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, you just simply meditate. The first thing you did for 3 days, I think it's called anapana, if I remembered correctly, is you inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. And as you inhale and exhale, you just feel the air going in and out of your nose. From 4 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. Lucky for you, that's not what we're doing tonight. Around the third day, this is not a joke, this is a true part, I could no longer find my nose on my face. This is true. I ran out of the building. I ran into the forest. I walked around and around in circles and kept feeling my nose to make sure it was there. Now, to me, that was very traumatic. I understand there's a lot of Jewish women, maybe in the city, that find other ways to get rid of their nose. And this is a lot easier if I try Buddhist meditation, if that works for you. Around day 4, they teach you the meditation technique. The first 3 days of Anapana is just seen as a technical preparation. And that's a whole technical thing that they do. You scan the body and you just keep watching the body and keep breathing and watching the body. And it's an interesting thing. I noticed the numbers were dropping in the room more and more. People couldn't handle just keeping it up. It was very, very intense. Around the 5th, 6th, I actually think it was the 6th day, 6th or 7th, I think it was the 6th day. I finally had the aha moment. I finally had that breakthrough moment, the aha moment, whatever that moment is, which is why people go to ashrams. Young Jews go to ashrams, everyone goes to ashrams. People take drugs, people go seeking, people go to India, people go to Tibet, people go to Thailand, some people go to Israel, because everyone's searching for that aha moment. And I remember what happened very, very vividly. I remember the moment before being in excruciating pain, and my whole body just couldn't handle the pain. The pins and needles you feel in your body, but then you don't change your position for hours at a time, and feeling like I have to get out of my body, and this unbelievable, intense pain and struggle, and just this blast out of my body. And there it was, and I was flown out of my body, and I was in this higher state, a higher place of infinite light, of infinite love, of infinite connection, of seeing all the details of my life, how they unified together, of seeing myself below there as a small being with all those thoughts and feelings and doubts that fill your mind all your life, and suddenly they were infinitely small and infinitely far away, and I was at one with the cosmic universe, the cosmic reality, and infinite light, of unbelievable sense of bliss. And I kid you not only did I have it at that moment, that every morning that I got up, I sat on the little pillow from 4 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, I closed my eyes, went into it, and boom, went again. And it's as unbelievable as you imagine, it's as unbelievable as you hope for, and all these things you've heard from all mystical texts, from many different traditions, Sufism and Hinduism and Buddhism, and tonight we may even learn Judaism. Don't want to spoil the ending for you. So you think that was wonderful. So that was wonderful, but that was a challenge. And I want to tell you about the challenge. The experience was phenomenal. The challenge was that every night, around 9 o'clock at night, there was a screen. If this is the ashram, there's a screen, a little television screen on the top corner. Let's say we're here, and this would be the little, i.e. very big screen that was there. And every night around 9 o'clock at night, this guy from India, Goenka his name is, he would come up the screen and he'd give a little hour class, like a little Devar Buddha, if you will. And he spoke about the Buddhist tradition and the Buddhist understandings, the shkafa, if you will, the philosophy of Buddhism and his particular path and his particular approach. And here was the challenge. I'm sitting on the couch, I'm blowing around my body, it's unbelievable. But what he says at the beginning, the first thing he says on the first day is, this is a path which is irrelevant of religion. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. We're not telling anyone to change their religion, change their path. We're just here to improve and empower that. By day 4 or 5, he was saying all the other religions are false and this is the only path, etc., etc. But I wasn't identified as anything then, so that didn't bother me. What bothered me is a certain attitude, is a certain approach that they had. And the attitude and the approach was so troubling to me. It was a basic philosophy that spirituality and consciousness could not be achieved in the physical world. Now, this is not a definitive exploration of Buddhist philosophy, but in this particular place, this was something that was being emphasized at this time. And eventually it started to create a schism. The schism was because I'm deeply resonating in an unbelievable way. I'm jumping out of my body and having this unbelievable light-filled energy, and that's wonderful. But every time he starts talking about this particular thing, I'm like, no, wait, that doesn't sound right to me. But the problem is, you can't ask anyone because you're not allowed to speak for 10 days. I always think we should try this in Jewish outreach. We take everyone on a birthright trip to Israel. What do you think of the trip? Can't answer, sorry. God gave the Torah Sinai. Sound true? Doesn't matter, you can't answer, sorry, just please put this tefillin on, black hat, staple down, have a nice life. Just give it a go, see how that goes. The kids will love it. So it began to build up within me. Now, when I say you can't ask, you can't talk, so there is a truth. There was someone you can ask, and there was someone you could talk to. This is the rules of the game. Every day, from 2 o'clock in the morning from 2 o'clock in the afternoon during the lunch break to 2:30, there's a guru. It was in Australia, so he has a very exotic name like Guru Steve or something like that. I remember being very Australian, it's kind of funny. Shaved head because he's Buddhist, and Australian because it's Australia, that's where I'm from. He was sitting on the mat at the front of the room. From 2 o'clock to 2:30 every day, you can go and ask him a question. And everyone stands in a line to ask a question. They sit and they kind of leapfrog forward on the pillows. And you can ask him a question. The rule is that 2:30 exactly, he gets up and walks out. It's just as a respect for the space, that's the window time, and a person has patience and moves on. So every day I want to ask the question, but what are the philosophy I don't understand, and why is this and that? But I don't actually want to speak because I don't want to ruin the experience. But finally, after day 7 or 8, the experience is so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like there's a contradiction between the ideas in my head and the experience that I can't handle. And I actually go to lunch. I don't want to ask him. In the middle of lunch, I take out my plates. I know I have to ask him. And I basically run back. I move back. And I get into the room. It's already 10 past 2. There's like 8 or 9 people sitting there on the chairs, on the pillows on the floor. So I finally join the back, and I'm waiting. I'm processing the question. I haven't spoken for like 7, 8 days. And I'm processing the question. And you move forward, fill in. You're watching the clock. It's 2:15, 2:17, 2:19, 2:21. You're moving forward. 2:22, 2:23. It's about 2:25, 2:26. And the only person in front of me is one girl, and she's asking a question. Another question is going on forever. I totally want to strangle this girl, but it's not a very Buddhist thing to do. It's literally like 2:28 and a half, and she gets up and she steps away. I sit down in front of Guru Steve. I haven't spoken in 6, 7 days. I've got the most existential, challenging question in my life, and I'm trying to find the words to say it. So first I remember just saying thank you, like it's unbelievable, it's powerful, it's beautiful, it works, and he just kind of said kala kavad, or whatever he said in Sanskrit. The subtitle said, kala kavad. Hamev yavan. So I said, thank you so much, it's beautiful, meaningful. And he just nodded in a very sincere, humble way. And I said, but I have a problem, a question. He said, yes. I said, I'm having problems resonating, connecting to what we're being taught at night. He said, what in particular? So I can't remember my exact words, but it's pretty much something like this. I just want to say, I've never spoken in a class with a big screen before. So I notice that no one's actually looking at me. I keep wanting to say, what's more interesting? What's happening up there? Why are you watching the back of this guy's head? It's some Haredi guy. I go, why is that more interesting than me? I'm going to just sit here and watch as well. It looks much more interesting. Baruch Hashem, you're not looking at your cell phones. That's all I got to say. Maybe you could put Facebook up there and like CNN news flashes or something. Here, I'm over here. It's all about the eye contact, huh? I'll get over myself in about 2 hours. Too little, too late. Anyway, the class, meditation, Buddhism, excellent. So this is what I say. This is my question to him. I say, the challenge is what they're teaching us this idea. And again, this is not, we're not having a PhD level philosophy discussion about Buddhism, but in the context of who I was and what they were teaching. I said, this were my words. I said, I understand that war is bad. I understand that violence is bad. I understand that anger is bad. I understand that ego is bad. I understand that money is the root of all evil. People do unbelievably messed up things for the sake of money. And even though I'm a 24-year-old male, I will totally acknowledge that sexuality can be unbelievably destructive and people can do awful things to achieve, express their sexual desires, etc. So I totally get the challenges in the physical world. But there's a beauty in a sunset. There's a beauty in a flower. There's so much good that happens in physicality. Yes, money can be unbelievably destructive, and our desire to pursue it can result in destructive goals, but money can do so much good. It can contribute so much good. It can help, create opportunity is what it does, of health, of education, of security. Money can be a good thing. Sexuality can, of course, be terrible, but sexuality, when expressed in a relationship of love, of intimacy, of commitment, of respect, takes a relationship to a whole new level. Right? Surely there's some good in the physical world. Surely there's some value to be in the physical world. So how do you think he responded? He looked at me and said, "You're right." And he said, there's a lot of good in the physical world. And then he said, but the problem is the samsara. The samsara. How's your Sanskrit? It's good? Hebrew's okay, you like my Hebrew jokes, don't like my Sanskrit jokes. The samsara is a Sanskrit word which, it's very hard to describe. It's a very complex, sophisticated, interesting word, right? But it kind of translates as the ocean of desire. The nature of the physical world is an ocean of desire. This is what he said. He said, of course, money is a good thing, and it can do many good things. But when a person has no money, they can find happiness in life. They can have meaning in life. And then suddenly they get a bit of money, they get more money, and you get more money, and you get used to luxury, and you get used to details, and you get used to fancy things. And then God forbid the stock market crashes, the real estate market bottoms out, and then suddenly, how can I live without that level of a car, without that of the house? Suddenly you can't find your happiness anymore. When you have love, you love another person, you care for another person. Of course there's good in love, he said, but when you lose the person, you'll come to hate that which took it away. He said the nature of the world is an ocean of desire. He said when you stand on the beach and you're looking at a stunning sunset, right, and the sky is orange and purple, and the sun is setting on the water, and the water is warm, and you just want to walk into the water to be closer to the light, and you step in, the water is so warm and seductive, you step in, you don't realize as you go in there's a tide underneath, and when the tide hits you, it drags you in. She said, therefore, the only solution, the only true path to spirituality is ultimately not to go into the water. Ultimately, to stay into spirituality and never step into the water at all. Because the nature of the world is a world of desire, and the desire will just drag you in. Now, I'm not assuming that everyone in this audience is Jewish, and I think that's a wonderful thing, whoever we are, wherever we're from. But what does the Torah say about that? Does it agree or disagree? Disagree. Hands up if it disagrees. Right. So you're wrong. And if I have to come to Jerusalem to tell you that, so it's worth the trip, that alone. Of course the Torah agrees. For 6 days you will work. We have to work. We have to get a job. We have to make money. We have to build a home. We have to change the world. But the world sucks us in. That's why we need Shabbos. Of course you eat. We don't fast all the time as Jews. We have to eat to sustain our bodies. We have to eat well and healthily, etc., etc. But then you can get so consumed and defined by the food, right, that you lose yourself. Therefore, you have to make a blessing, you understand, to maintain consciousness, a mindful, conscious, connective state before you enter into food. The Torah absolutely agrees with the point that the world sucks you in, but the Torah says our power of consciousness and power of intent and in power of structuring our mind and our life well can allow us to oscillate between the two, to have the physical world, but to maintain spirituality within that. And that's, of course, the path of Torah, to elevate, to integrate, to transform the physical world using consciousness and have the best of both worlds. But I'm a 20-year-old kid. I haven't learned that. I don't know that. I have no real connection to my own heritage. The coolest thing I've ever done in my life is this Buddhist meditation retreat. And even though he's telling me that, I don't have the words, I don't have that eloquence, I don't have the experience, I don't have the life wisdom to know that. I've never learned the Torah. So he just says that you can't be in the physical world and you can't and still be spiritual. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm in Yiddish you say platzing. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And I say, no, that there must be a way. He said, there isn't. I said, yes, there is. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. It was a very intellectual conversation. And as it's going back forward, I'm watching the clock, and it's like 2:28, 2:29, 2:29 and a half. And the conversation's building, and he's trying to explain it to me, but there's something in the depth of my being, the core of my being. You ever been somewhere before, and you know something's wrong, but you don't yet have the capacity to even know what you know? And therefore, he's much smarter, he's much more experienced, he's much more learned in his own tradition. And I'm stuck, and finally I can't hold myself in. It's 2:29 and 30 seconds, and I just explode, and I literally yell in the middle of the ashram, there must be a way a person could be in the physical world and still be spiritual. He leans forward, looks me in the eye and says, are you Jewish? And when he said that, my mind is like, you know, the mind boggles. And they used to have in pinball machines, if you knock the machine, it tilts, and it doesn't, and my mind just got tilted. It was just like flash, flash. It just froze. And I just looked at him and said, no. That was my answer. Because I wasn't Jewish. Today I was Buddhist, and last week I was socialist, and next week I'd be feminist, and I'm just a kid, and I'm learning. Okay, technically my parents are Jewish, and their parents are Jewish, and their parents are Jewish, so they're back to Sinai. But that wasn't relevant, and didn't make any sense, and how the heck did he know? So, so he just said, there must be a way for us to be in the physical world to be spiritual, and he said, are you Jewish? And I went, no. 2:30, he gets up and walks out. And I'm like, for like 2, 3 or 4 more days, however many days it were, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I walk through the forest, I get to the ashram, I sit down on the pillow, I close my eyes, I blast out of my body, I go to the highest spiritual world. There on the top of the worlds, there's 3 words waiting to meet me. Are you Jewish? Shut up, get out. Are you Jewish? Get out. Buddha, Rachmanas, you know, Buddha, have rachamim on me, please, compassion. That was hard. Don't worry, I managed to bury my Judaism and go back to the experience. Chazde Hashem. At the end of the 10 days, they have this kind of like meal, or this kind of like just opening up, and then everyone introduces themselves. It's a very not nice thing, because for 10 days you like all these people because you've really projected who you want them to be, and then they open their mouths and have the chutzpah to ruin it. So I really ran out of the room pretty fast, because I don't want to speak to anyone except for Guru Steve. And I ran through the whole complex, the whole ashram, to find him, and he was like there in the back room somewhere in an office. And my first official words after 10 days, I found him, and I walked up to Guru Steve, and the first official question was, why did you ask if I was Jewish? And he looks up at me and says, oh, you are, aren't you? I'm like, son of a Buddhist, son of a Buddhist. So I said to him, yes, but how did you know? And this is what he says. He says, I've been teaching this particular technique, which I'm not going to leave out the name for now. He said, for decades. He says, I probably taught around the world tens of thousands of people. And he said, as you notice, the numbers in the room may start like the 100 people in the beginning of the ashram, and 5-6 days later, people can't handle it, so the numbers drop. They don't have the capacity, the willpower, the spiritual ratzon, will, to hold it out. He said, but I've noticed, especially of the people who are deeply spiritual enough to connect, he said, I've noticed there's kind of 2 kinds of people. He says the first kind of person is a person that connects spiritually, has that soul, and they're very happy and they really resonate with what we teach. He says, that's one thing I noticed. He says, but I've noticed there's another kind of person that seems deeply spiritual, but they always seem to have this issue, this question, surely there's a way to be in the physical world and simply spiritual. He says, I noticed that they always happen to be Jewish. So I said, I didn't have that question because I'm Jewish. I just have that question because it made sense. And he says, well, apparently it makes sense if you're Jewish. Son of a Buddhist, son of a fun. Isn't that insane? That is crazy. That's a real thing in the world. Tonight, over the next 10 days, I'm going to teach you a Jewish meditation. I don't really care if you're Jewish or not. I want to teach you something that I'm proud to teach from my own heritage. But I want to tell you what it means, a Jewish meditation. Number one, this is an authentic Jewish meditation. I'm not just taking a Buddhist meditation, putting Hebrew words on it. This is actually, we have something of a tradition in. And it's very powerful, it's very interesting. So when I say I'm going to teach you a Jewish meditation, the Torah meditation, my first definition is it comes from an authentic Torah tradition, number one. Two is something much more interesting, much more close to my heart. It's not just a Jewish meditation historically, it's a philosophically Jewish meditation. It's something that the Torah does very well in a very profound way. You see, Torah's understanding is that through physicality you achieve higher levels of spirituality than you could by being spiritual alone. Higher states of consciousness by engaging in physicality than detaching from physicality by itself. You see, when we're sitting on the retreat, everything you did, like in standard mindfulness meditation, is that there's a thing called the monkey mind. Hands up if you've heard this term, monkey mind. Hands up if you've practiced some kind of meditation before. Great. So tonight's going to be interesting. Tomorrow even more so, but tonight is pretty fascinating what we're going to do. There's an idea that the monkey mind is the noise, the chaos that distracts us from ourselves. This is the basis of all mindfulness. And therefore, if we can silence the noise of the mind, then we can reconnect once again to our core self. Now, by the way, mindfulness, word for word, is in the Torah tradition. It's in the Piazetzner Rebbe, Sefer HaKshavos Aveichim. It's brought down by the Baal Shem Tov. It's mentioned by Rabbi Nachman, by many, many sources all the way back for hundreds of years, hinting back to other sources from Pirkei Avos back to thousands of years. So I have nothing against mindfulness meditation. I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm troubled by Jews that don't know the power of their own tradition, number one. But as a technique, it's wonderful. It's a very Jewish and Torah thing to do, and I highly encourage everyone to learn it in a good way, in the best way, and get it down, number one. But tonight we're going to do something much more profound and interesting and dynamic and confronting and radical. The Torah perception is we ask a question. We don't like the monkey mind. We don't like the noise of the mind. We don't like the chaos in the mind. We don't like all those motions, all that intensity, all the imagery, all that stuff. So we will be more connected to self by eliminating that stuff, that part of our consciousness, right? Torah has an assumption, however. The assumption is brought down in many of our sages, many of our holiest works, but it's brought down from Tanakh, from the Bible, and the line is Malay chol haaretz kavoidoi. That the whole world is full of divine revelation. That means if Hashem, if the divine source created all reality, where did he create reality? Ultimately within him. And if he created reality within him, that means there is nothing in the reality that isn't somehow within him or somehow from him. If everything in reality is somehow from him, that means, and he is ultimately good, well that means everything in reality must be ultimately good. So when we begin with an assumption that there's this destructive part of my mind that I must eliminate, that is not fundamentally a Jewish Torah philosophy. Because fundamentally a Jewish Torah philosophy is, why is there a noisy part of my mind? And before I cut it out, before I seek to eliminate or destroy it, perhaps should I say, what is its gift? What is its light? What is its spark? What is its unique revelation? And if you seek a path through mindfulness of spiritual connection, again, I'm not negating mindfulness. There's something beautiful and powerful and relevant and necessary for every single one of you within it, but there's something even deeper. There's a limit, there's a glass ceiling that you hit unless you're willing to take the Torah philosophy that part that you cut out actually had a contribution to make. And tonight you're going to learn how far that contribution goes. Torah is not a path of negation. Torah is a path of elevation. Torah is not a path that the world is destructive. Torah is a path if there's a force, if it's sexuality, if it's money, if it's ego, even ego. There must be a purpose within it. If there's a purpose in it, then zeh l'u'mazeh. This is the rule of all the core principle of Kabbalah. That means it can be used in a bad way or rechanneled and reharnessed in a good way. So the Torah path of spirituality, which is open for us to all unlearn and grow from together, is the idea of, we always ask, why was that thing created? What was its purpose? What's the divine understanding of that thing? Because if you understand what its purpose is, then we can say, oh, now I know how to channel it in a good way. If you understand why money exists and why sexuality exists and why ego exists, ego Surely ego is the opposite of spiritual connection? No, because Hashem gave us ego. There are people with no sense of confidence, no sense of strength, and therefore they can't function in life. Everything must be used, everything must be challenged, and the mystics always say that's why we learn Torah. That's like the first step of learning, of gaining wisdom, is the first step of all spiritual development, because when you are wise, then you understand the reason for everything in the world, and then you can use that and harness that in a deeper way. Are we following, all sticking together so far? So Torah is not a path of negation. It's not like bad, 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 evil, evil, because I have to be spiritual. It's like, what is that? Why is that? What is that? Why is that? Because there's revelation. And then, of course, that changes your attitude. This is a bad, destructive part of my mind. I have to eliminate it. That creates deep schisms and darkness within myself, a critical approach. Rather, I say, wow, there's a part of my mind which is busy, that's wild, that's distracting me. It's causing my ADHD or whatever we will have in this generation, right? And then I say the opposite. Then I start going, you know what? Well, how could I use it? What's it there for? Imagine we take our poor children and before we drug them up because they can't concentrate in school, we say, what is their gift that their mind is doing? I'm not speaking against riddle. I'm not saying there's never times to apply that. There can be, and that's fine. But our automatic assumption, because you don't fit into X box, means it must be broken and therefore we have to cut it out, is not at all the Torah approach to truth. So what I'm going to show you tonight, which I think is absolutely fascinating as a Jewish meditation technique, which because there's a tradition that's Jewish, but because philosophically, I'm going to show you how the most quote-unquote destructive part of your mind, the monkey mind, is actually the missing piece of consciousness that you need to not just concentrate better, but to be more motivated, to do inner transformation called tikkun amidus. And if you eliminate it, you lose the connection between head and heart, which is your gateway to motivation, which is your gateway to transformation. It's your gateway to building relationships. And it's always going to be there. You can knock it down and knock it down. You can be so mindful that you think you eliminate it, but it's always going to fight back. And Rav Nachman says, the Baal Shem Tov says, the reason it's fighting back is because it has divinity within it that it wants you to connect to and relate to. It's a very, very profound, beautiful secret. So we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. Any questions before we begin? Wow, that was fast. Wow. Yes, ma'am.
I could kind of see that you're going, I hope, towards free will. Where does free will play?
And if not, you're going to ask for your money back?
No.
No. It's one of how strong your hope is. Right.
If the answer is not, it doesn't jive with what you're saying, then why does the courts have the ability to punish? If everything is good, then you can't make a bad choice.
No, not everything is good, because we also said that something could be used in the wrong way.
No, but you said that even there can be nothing bad.
No. We said everything has potential use of good, and it can be used badly or it can be used well. We don't say as Jews that everything is good. I wouldn't compare you, God forbid, to Hitler because everything is good, right? So we're absolutely aware of good or bad, right? But everything can be used for good or bad. Money can be used for good or bad. Sexuality can be used for good or bad. Our ego can be used for good or bad. And if it's used for bad, it's unbelievably destructive. But then I don't destroy it.
So that's where free will comes in.
Free will is the choice of how to harness my natural powers. Free will is not self-negation. Free will is saying, wow, there's that there, but it can't express itself in this way at this time. Rav Nachman says an amazing thing. He says every desire he says the definition of evil, it's not really tonight's Torah, it's a very, very deep idea. It's the definition of evil. He says every desire in the world is inherently good as long as it's expressed at the right time. And the definition of evil is simply a good thing at the wrong time. That's a very, very deep statement. But why hear it from me? Just watch the video on something better will happen up there. Yes, sir.
Could you repeat the last thing you said, which the last 5 words was because it has divinity within it. Then you asked the question, so I was going to ask you to repeat that.
Right. So here's a great rule for the crowd. I don't actually have a rewind button, and people frequently say, the reason it's good is because it has a spark of good within it. I'm just kind of in the zone. I'm bringing it down and then it's gone. And I'm up to the next thing. If it comes back to you, like on the video, I'm happy to answer your question. Any other questions before we go on? All the question people in this part of the room. Great. It's going to save me some energy of walking around throughout the evening. Okay, friends, it goes like this. So we're going to begin here. This is an interesting journey together. Let's begin on this point. How good is your concentration? You didn't really have to think about that very long, did you? When I asked that to crowd, you see everyone's faces go, shock, the horror, the horror. Hands up if you have pretty good concentration. Hands up if you didn't hear my question, you want me to ask it again. Okay, let's dig a hole deeper. Let's dig a hole deeper. When I say how good is your concentration, well, what does that mean? Okay, how long can you focus on one thing for, totally uninterrupted, so that not a single other thought crosses your mind at all? Someone just jumped out a window at the back. It was like, never. I mean, without Ritalin, Adderall, caffeine, whatever else is used on the streets of Miami. I want you to guess. Listen one more time. How long can you focus on one thing for, totally uninterrupted, so not a single other thought will cross your mind? Guess. 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 minutes. An optimist in the crowd. That's wonderful. Yes. Right. What was this lady say over here? 5 minutes. You really? Not a single other thought crossing your mind at all? That's awesome. Come work for our organization. You're hired. Was that? It depends. Hands over if you want to say it depends on the situation. Fine. It does, but it shouldn't. It does because we know there's things that you can concentrate on, right? But it shouldn't because you understand when it depends on why is some things more interesting to others? Because they're engaging, they're interesting. When it's interesting, I pay attention on it. But let me give you an example. There's this thing called Harry Potter. I don't know what that is. My wife read one of the books, and I've been kind of out of the loop for the last 120 years, right? But today, every kid is ADHD. And when you go to a school to teach a class, they say, oh, can't be more than 5-minute Torah, Rabbi, because no one can pay attention. But I heard that there's a theater in America, they were playing, there's a bunch of Harry Potter movies, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, and they all go for like 3.5 weeks each. Sounds like a Buddhist meditation retreat. 2.5 hours. And they were playing like this thing where they played them all together in one day, right? So it was packed out, lines around the block. So all these kids with ADHD that can't pay attention to more than 5 minutes can suddenly have a 10-day Harry Potter meditation retreat, right? With perfect concentration. So why is it they suddenly have wonderful concentration? Because, says this young man, is because it depends. But you understand, they're not concentrating. The reason they're paying attention is because the screen has to keep, there's a wand and then the person turns into a dragon, turns into a lizard, turns into a snail. You see, I haven't actually seen it, that's my proof. They have to keep blowing things up and turning things over and exploding things to hold the attention. If I were to stand in front of you, sir, and slap you across the face literally every 2 seconds for an hour, you would be very well focused on me, right? But that's not a statement on your power of concentration. That's a statement of me reaching into you to draw your attention. So while our concentration is absolutely dependent on how interesting something is, the secret litmus test of your true capacity to concentrate is how well you can concentrate perfectly on something that is not at all interesting to you. You got that? So everybody basically said their concentration goes, besides the 5-minute person in the crowd, a 3-minute man in the crowd, and everyone else is 1 to 2 seconds. Would you like to find out how long you can do this for? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. As Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle the truth. I saw that in a Gemara somewhere. Okay, does anyone have a watch with a second hand I can borrow? You have a watch with a second hand? You have, young lady? Thank you. Well, that's shiny. That's awesome. Do you have a credit card I can borrow? I'm Jewish, I have to try. Anti-Semite. What's your name?
Marie.
Mali?
Marie.
Marie. Can you do me a kindness? I don't want to steal this watch from you, but I need it throughout this session. Could you please come and get it for me at the end of the night? It's going to be right here. Okay. Thank you so much. And if you don't like that, you can take my watch, which is over here, without a second hand. Okay, we're going to do a little experiment. I need everyone to make sure your cell phone is 100% off. And that means not even on buzz mode. There's a new app which actually turns your cell phone off. It's very cutting edge. I don't know if you've used it before. I need everyone to uncross their arms and their legs and sit up straight in their chair. We're going to do a little experiment, a group test right now. I want to know exactly how long this group's capacity of concentration is, and then we'll see what we can do with that for you. How long can you concentrate on one thing totally uninterrupted so not a single other thought crosses your mind? It has to be something really uninteresting. So we're going to use my cup. It's actually an interesting cup. It's got patterns on it. It's fancy. Can everyone see my cup? Camera, close up. Have you been watching my cup all night? Is that what you're watching on the big screen? Great, there's the cup. So you've got a picture of it. This is what we're going to do. You're going to close your eyes. Not yet. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm going to say plastic cup. When I say plastic cup, I want you to think about the cup, only the cup, nothing but the cup. The second any other thought crosses your mind, I want you to raise your hand. You got that? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Plastic cup. You think about the cup, only the cup. The second any other thought crosses your mind, you raise your hand. Now, if you sit there and you think, I'm doing pretty good, I'm still focused on the cup, that's also another thought, and you have to raise your hand. If you're thinking, I'm not going to raise my hand, I'm going to impress the rabbi with how good my concentration is, or my husband or my wife, or the attractive guy over there in the corner of the room, that's also another thought, and you have to raise your hand. Are you putting up your hand because you've already got distracted? I haven't started yet. But that's pretty low self-esteem, sir. Can I give that guy a hug? Like, he just needs... He's like one of those guys that fails before he even begins. Shem is with you, sir. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Paper cup. You do whatever you do. I'm not answering what you can do or should do. You do what you do. You do you. In concentration. And then I'm gonna time it. And we're gonna see actually how good our concentration is. You ready? You on the cup. So I recommend you close your eyes, otherwise if I move it around or something you may get distracted. So here's the cup one more time. It's a cup. You've probably seen one before. Great. You've got it? Wonderful. Close your eyes, sit up straight, uncross your arms, your legs, give yourself a fighting chance. You're going to do great in this. Unless you were born in this generation, watch too much MTV, Facebook, social media. Born with a remote control in your hand, therefore there's no way you're going to do this at all. You're probably going to fail. No concentration. You probably can't get a job, hold a conversation for more than 2 seconds. Try not to get depressed over that point. Here we go. You're going to do just fine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Paper cup. Oh, that's dismal. Okay, let's just stop there. Hands up if your hand was already up. Okay. Hands up if you were still going until the end, and then I told you to stop, and that distracted you. Great, so everybody was out, basically. I just want to say, I've done this class 1,000 times, I've never seen this before. The second hand jumps 5 seconds at a time. So that was pretty funny. Besides that, the average was basically, there was a good part of the room that was out by 3 seconds, the majority of the room was out by 5 seconds, some of you held on for about 8 or 9 seconds. So a lot of you were out by 3 seconds. That's pretty interesting. That's about the average concentration pattern. Usually it kind of averages out of about 8 seconds. Hold that number in mind, it's very significant as we go on. What if I could teach you right now in the next 10 days? In the next 90 minutes, to double your concentration span. For some of you, that would be like 6 seconds. For some of you, that'd be 16 seconds. Okay, that's not so significant. What if I could teach you to triple your concentration span? That'd be impressive. How much would you expect to pay? Free set of steak knives as well? Okay, what if we could quadruple it? That means we could average out the room to 20 seconds perfect concentration. Hands up if you'd be impressed by that. Okay, that's cool. So by the end of tonight's session, about 90 minutes, I'm going to teach 98% of the room how to have 100% concentration, so then not a single other thought crosses their mind for an unlimited amount of time. So much so that after doing it for minutes, I'm going to have to yank you out of it so that we can end the session and go home. Yeah. Bring that on. And hands up if you're thinking, I'm DHD, it'll never work for me. I'm ADD, hands up. Can those people just stand up for me? There's a reason I'm asking you to do this, and it's not embarrassing. Hands up if you're convinced it won't work for you, but you were the 5-minute girl and you're standing up for this? Okay, stand up. If you have ADHD, stand up. Stand up. And you think it's not going to work for you. Be honest, be real. Stand up and stay standing. Stand up and stay standing. You're going to see a miracle. Watch this. Stand up. Everybody look at these poor people who are drugged up to function in reality. So seriously, look at these people. These people, the majority of these people standing up right now will be able to concentrate better than the rest of you by the end of the evening. Don't clap, I could be lying to you. These people will be levitating off the floor in 60 minutes. Have a Jewish cup. Maybe I'm lying to you, maybe it's not true. But I'm going to ask them to stand up at the end and tell us what it was like. We don't buy into things, as the rabbi says, we use our mind, we use our seichel. It's a big claim. It's a very egotistical claim if it's not true. I can bring you science to show that this is possible, because everyone that deals with ADHD knows for a fact there's a thing called hyperfocus, which those people go into these crazy intense states where they're so focused they almost can't stop themselves. Wow, so what happened to the concentration issue then? You see? The problem is that ADHD people don't know how to trigger the hyperfocus. They know what it's like when they were in that zone, when they were in that state. They don't know how to create it themselves. So now I'm going to show you how to do that, because if you understand Torah's understanding of the mind, then it's a davar pashuv. It's not so complex. Questions before we begin? Sir?
You said think about the cup.
Wait, stop. I'm not taking this question that you're going to ask. You're going to say, but can I do this or should I do that? I'm not going to comment on what you should do. It's a good question. There's nothing wrong with the question. I want to leave everyone to their own devices to do what they do. And now we're going to talk about what we should do and what we can't do, right? Because I appreciate that everyone always asks this question, but what should I have done this, or what if I did this? So that's good. It's good. So I don't want to answer what we should do, and I don't want to break it down yet. You'll see why in a second. Yes, ma'am, at the back. Beautiful. Thank you for reading my script. That's exactly the next question. You missed it. We only ask it once and you'll never know. Shh, don't tell anyone. If you could have perfect concentration, by the way, we're not giving you perfect concentration, we're going to give you a certain kind of concentration that works for some things, doesn't work for others, but it's pretty unbelievable. If you could have sustained concentration for an extended period of time without thinking any other thought, so what? What would be the value for you of being able to have that? What's the answer? Yes. Introspection. You can think through yourself, your life, your decisions, evaluate them and learn from them. In life, people say, we all change and get better with age. It's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. Time does not heal. Time doesn't do anything but facilitate the opportunity to change, the opportunity to grow. Time is a vessel that gives us opportunity, our capacity to self-reflect, to think, to evaluate, and then decide to change is what time allows. But without the capacity to think something through, we do not automatically do that. So that would be true. Ma'am?
You can focus on positive things.
You can focus on positive things rather than negative things. Absolutely. Yes? Finish what you start. It's the first time for everything, right? It's possible, yes.
When you concentrate, do you have to focus on the cup, for instance, in stillness?
Wait. We're not answering that question. We're not asking what we do when we concentrate. Now I'm just asking what would be the value of concentration, right? Yes. Wait. I just want answers to this question for 1 second. What would be the value to having, what's that?
In peacefulness.
Inner peacefulness, yes. And red at the back? Staying present, very much necessary, ma'am? discernment to be able to think through and evaluate a decision that you have to make. Yes?
I was just thinking perspective, like we can choose our perspective.
Perspective. Yes?
I think you nullify yourself and you're one with Hashem.
Right? You can get religious about that. I also get religious. We could realize and we're connected with one with Hashem. Yes? Right?
You could hold a thought of something you want to bring to you.
Oh, well, this is when it gets interesting. Do you notice how only women are putting up their hand right now? There's a man. Watch this. Sir. What's that?
Respect by giving 100% of your...
Right, absolutely. There's something very interesting here, sir. There you go. I was saying this is the male part that's missing, okay? Accomplishment, achieving goals. Right? It's very interesting. There's always, in this part of the session, there's a very clear division how men and women value the thinking process. Accomplishment, getting clarity, decision making. People that learn Torah all day is to get truth, is this right, is that wrong answer? Now I want to tell you what a lot of the mystics say about the power of thought. Most people assume that the power of thinking is the power of understanding. But the mystics teach the power of thinking is not just the power of understanding, it's the power of connecting. What you think about is what you're connected to. What you think about is what you're connected to. The Baal Shem Tov says, "B'chol makam she'adam mechashev sham hu." You are wherever your thoughts are. And what the Baal Shem Tov means by that is a very, very deep thing. We can't go fully, really into depth in that tonight, other than just a tiny little taste, a tiny little touch. But the Baal Shem Tov is telling you that you are more where your thoughts are than where your body is. And your emotions and your physiology are actually more responding to thoughts than they are to what is present and physically in front of you. You are wherever your thoughts are. There are many people that can be, they've waited all their life to get their children married, and they're standing at the chuppah, they're standing at the wedding, and the most amazing thing is taking place, but they're so upset that Uncle Jerry didn't come to the wedding because there's an argument that side of the family, and in that moment they're feeling angry or frustration or sad, rather than feeling blessed and full of opportunity and joy. You see this a lot when you deal with married couples going through challenges, and there's one particular couple that comes to mind. They were really tearing each other apart at a very difficult situation, and they're both, you don't understand me, you don't listen to me, etc., etc. And it happens to be a lot of the time the woman would say, the man's so insensitive and so unloving and so unpresent. And when women say that, more often than not, what can I tell you, men? The women are right. In marriage, it's very hard for men to do it. That got a round of applause, huh? It happens to be this woman here tonight. But in this situation, it happened to be the reverse. When I spoke to them one-on-one, the man sincerely seemed to be saying, I want to give her everything, and I want to change myself and say that, and I believe with all my heart. I'm being caring, I'm being sensitive, and I've worked on myself. And from what I could pick up, she really just had this wall of coldness and block. It was very, very painful. So there's certain techniques that I've done with people that you read what the Baal Shem Tov says, and you do it. It's very, very profound. And what I did is I helped her visualize a time when she got furious with her husband and connect to that in her body and understand that in her body. And then you trace back the midah to its sharash. It's a long Torah about how this works. But what she found is that when her husband does this thing to her, which is just be nice or whatever, it triggered this unbelievable anger. And behind the anger is usually fear and pain. And then in that fear and pain, there was an image. And she really had forgotten about this image. She was 4 years old, and she brought this cup home from school that she made for her father. And something happened. She broke the cup. I don't remember what it was. And the father slapped her across the face. 4-year-old child slaps across the face. Let me ask you a question. How long does it take? How long does a slap last? A second? Quarter of a second? So some slaps last a quarter of a second, and some slaps last 35 years. So this poor woman, when she says, "Can you please come home early tonight?" And he says, "I can't come home early tonight." And she starts screaming and furious and then cuts herself up emotionally for 2 weeks. You understand, she is more with her thoughts of the father of abuse than she is to see that her husband is not perfect, but he's there and willing to work. If you've ever read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, how many of you read that wonderful sefer? It's every person, human being, should be reading that. He explores the depth of what he's saying. It's not for tonight, but it's related to this idea. What was the secret to surviving Auschwitz? What was the secret of being in there? It's like, right? So one of the things he says is very profound. He says there were people that were alive in the Holocaust but already dead. Because every day they were just trying to survive, killing, hurting other people, not killing, but doing terrible things to stay alive, and they were already dead psychologically. What he realized to do, and what he saw other people doing, was he started thinking about the future. If I get out of here, I'm going to teach about ethics, about morality, about good versus evil, about what you can learn about humanity. I see myself teaching thousands of people, and therefore his energy changed, his attitude shifted. He started learning lessons rather than taking on victim mentality. And therefore, even though he's dead in the Holocaust, he was alive. You are wherever your thoughts are. Even when a Jew learns Torah, it's not just to get the information. It's not just to say Rashi means here, Tosafos means here, this is that. Where the idea is, the mystics say, it's too deep a subject for tonight's session. The mystics say that Torah is the mind of God, and these values are infinite values. And by thinking about it, whether it's right or wrong, it's Rashi, Tosafos, whatever it is, you're actually building connection with Hashem, because the idea, the values, the teachings, the morality, the ethics, the light, the spiritual potency, there is what you're connecting to. What you think about is what you connect to, and what you connect to is what you build a relationship with. What you think about is what you connect to. What you connect to is what you build a relationship with. One of the things I ask many couples when they come to me, it's a devastating question. I don't mean to be cruel to ask them. You can think about this in your own relationships. Do you love your spouse more this year than you did last year? It's a pretty intense question. Turn to your spouse right now and tell them yes or no. I'm joking. Don't do that at all. It's a terrible thing to do. I have some slots for marriage counseling as well tonight. I'm putting them out there. I'm just trying to drum up some business. Tell them straight up. Be very honest, brutal, real. Let's go. I mean, most marriages, that's a preposterous question. It's a nonsensical question, which is not, first of all, it's about just not arguing, not bothering each other. And then if everything's going well, then at least it's just about paying the rent and paying the bills and who's picking up the kids from school and all these kind of things. But to actually assume there should be an increase of love, I've asked people, like sometimes people up their hands, yeah, and more often women than not will raise their hand, I do, and men will raise their hand because their wife just raised their hand next to them, which is an excellent move, by the way, right? Don't not raise your hand. But it's a very hard question. And the truth is, if you don't learn to think about your spouse and create time to think about them in a positive way, then you will not increase your relationship with them, because you only increase relationship with that which you think about in a positive way. But you know what? If you don't control your mind to think an extended period of time, more than 3 or 4 or 8 seconds about positive thoughts, you will automatically think about them with negative thoughts for a period of time, and therefore what will happen? Your relationship will decrease over the time. You get more bitter, more resentful, which unfortunately is most marriages. Most people is divorce rate more than 50%, less than 50%. That's not the key question. We know it's a disaster, but it's not the key question. The question, what's the quality of the relationship like? And the quality of the relationship is dependent on your thought. And if you consider yourself a spiritual person or a religious person or a person that believes and loves God, then I have a more heavy, intense question for you. Do you love God this year more than you loved God last year? Okay, so you're all awesome, but the rest of you have an issue. And the answer is, and forgive me for saying, you can be super mega ultra orthodox like me. Super mega, that's 2 levels above standard ultra. I don't even know what to do with the word ultra orthodox. It always sounds to me like a washing detergent. Ultra orthodox. Whitens your whites, blackens your blacks. You can learn all the Torah, you can keep all the mitzvahs, but you don't actually think about God. That's not what the Torah advises you to do, but it's possible that some people do that. You can think about God when everything goes wrong, and you say, I'm angry that you did that, God, and then not think about it when everything's going right, because you said, look at all that good that I made in my life. And therefore you can get older and older and more religious and have less of a connection, because you only connect to something to the degree you think about it. You are wherever your thoughts are. What you think about is what you build connection with, what you connect with. Build connection with is what you build relationship with. And there's nothing more we need to think about than ourselves and our values and our strengths and our contribution. And the more you think about yourself and your value and the contribution, you build a relationship with it, and that becomes your identity. And the more you're only aware of your failures and your failings and your mistakes and your sins and your brokenness, then the more you connect to that, and that becomes your identity. So what I want to teach you tonight is not problem solving. Concentration is not really about problem solving. Concentration is the capacity of connection. And the way we're going to learn this together right now is I'm going to do a very, very practical Torah approach to this. And the practical Torah approach to this tonight is I want to teach you how to concentrate by simply teaching you how your mind works. According to all our traditions for thousands of years, there's basically 7 core faculties of human consciousness. According to some Kabbalistic texts, it's 10. Some say it's 11, but really considered 10. But at the end of the day, you can boil them down to understand 7. Tonight, we're going to focus on about 4 or 5. And what I'm going to show you is if you want unbelievable power to concentrate, I'm not going to teach you necessarily how to concentrate. I'm just going to show you the faculties of your mind. And once you get the faculties of your mind, you're going to see how fast and automatically you instantly concentrate. Because the core challenge is when I ask you to concentrate. If I say turn to your spouse and love them more, how do you love them more? How do you concentrate? You concentrate in prayer, and someone says, concentrate a lot, pray for this dying person, they really need your prayer. So then we shake even more, and we furrow our brow and our payas. The more movement of the payas, it generates energy in the spiritual. I don't know what's doing that. How do you increase concentration? You see, our consciousness for us is an amorphous mass. It's just something in my head, and it's not, right? So we don't understand what is the mechanisms at play. In Kabbalah, they break down all of human consciousness in an unbelievably lucid way, which I have not seen illustrated in a comparable way in any other tradition. And that when we teach the online program, we teach the seminars, we spend the whole time saying, here are the faculties of consciousness, know each one, learn what it does. And that's when you suddenly develop your intuition, your creativity, your capacity to love. You know how to change your heart. When fear overwhelms you, when thoughts overwhelm you, know, oh, that's coming from there, that turns here, and I turn it there. That's how you get your power, through this divine wisdom of the ultimate structure of human consciousness. So what I'm going to give you tonight is basically show you, introduce you to 4 or 5, depending on how we play it, elements of consciousness. I want to teach you their names, the Hebrew names, because there's a deep potency in the Torah language itself. Lashon HaKodesh, that the secrets of your consciousness are in the words for those parts of consciousness. That's part of the magic of learning Torah, the magic of learning Hebrew. So what I'm going to do, my friends, is I'm going to teach you now for the next few minutes a few parts of your consciousness. I'm going to give you the titles when we have a nomenclature, because what I'm going to say to you is you take this and then you plug this into this and use it like this. And you're going to I don't know what that is. So I don't just have to teach you the words, I need to teach you the inner experiences of those words. When you have the inner experiences, then you have the handle, the grip, something to be able to shift it, and suddenly the concentration will be there for you. So here we go. First of all, to teach this too, I really wish I didn't have a mic in my hand. I'm going to try to juggle this right now. I need everyone to put everything out of your hands. I need you to uncross your arms and legs. This is my 20-minute crash course in consciousness. Now, there's 7 key faculties. We're not going to deal with the top ones. Tomorrow night, we're going to deal with the top ones. The top ones are super conscious. I don't like using the English terms for this, but because I don't know you all yet, we haven't learned together before, we don't have the background of information to do all of it in a complex way. So if you imagine in a simple English reference points, there's super conscious, normal consciousness, and subconscious. Usually subconscious repressed emotional desires and that kind of stuff. Normal conscious is how we function. hopefully we function with normal consciousness and not lower consciousness. And then super consciousness is all the high-level meditational states. So tonight, I just want to show you about normal consciousness and below that, and give everything names. Some of you accidentally, by the end of tonight, will tell me that you happen to blast into higher places. That's just interesting, and we'll smile and acknowledge that. And tomorrow we'll get into more of the science of that. So for right now, I want to give these things names. Now, we're going to do a little exercise together. It's a little fun. And the first thing I need to tell you, this exercise will only last 1 minute. How long will this exercise last? 1 minute. Good. I need you to know that because some of the people will find this a very challenging minute. So I need you to better tell yourself it's only going to last a minute. Great. I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to say a word to you for a minute. One word for 1 minute. Perhaps I'll say 2 words. And I'm going to keep repeating that word or two for a minute. And as I repeat that word for a minute, what I'm going to ask you to do is just be aware of anything weird that happens within you as I say that word. Now you're probably thinking, why would anything weird happen within me? Because the guy on the stage said a word. Is it some Kabbalistic word? He's going to say the name of God. We're going to learn to levitate. Yes. So you'll be surprised how such mundane words can trigger such profound internal ripples within individuals. And if you don't realize that, you don't realize how much our consciousness is shattered every day by our normal functioning reality because of things like this. So I'm going to stand here and say 1 or 2 words for 1 minute. You're going to sit there, back straight, palms open. I'm going to make the following request, that as this happens, you keep your eyes on me the whole time, even if it's hard. If you have to break gaze, but you may find this more beneficial for you if you stick with me. You got that? As we proceed through this interesting minute, is your body tense yet? Great. There's 4 things I want you to watch for. We're going to see if we can see 4 parts of our consciousness in action. I want you to notice that as I say these words, is there any shift that takes place in your physical body? There's something I can say that will physically move your body, okay? Number 1.
What was the question again?
As I say these words, I want you to watch where there's a physical change in your body. I want you to also watch if there's any feelings or emotions that come up as I say these words. I want you to watch if there's any beliefs or memories that pop into your head as I say these words. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Any imagery or memory that pops into your head. Physical shifts of the body, feelings, emotions, imagery and memory, and finally, beliefs. As I say these words, I want you to be aware if there's any beliefs that you have about me saying these words, about yourself, about life, about your mother and father or something like that. And I want you to watch all those things and be aware, okay? What was the first one? Physical body. Second one? Emotions, feelings. Third one? Imagery, memory. Fourth one? Beliefs. Excellent. So I'm going to sit here, I'm going to repeat the same words for a minute. And I want everyone to sit up straight in your chair, uncross your arms and your legs. Open your palms. Do your best possible at keeping your eyes locked into my eyes. And remember, it only lasts a minute. No. No. No, 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 no. 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 No, 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 no. No. Physical sensations in the body. Feelings, emotions. Imagery, memory. Beliefs. No. 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 Yes. 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 Yes, 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 yes. Wow. Psh. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. 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 Yes, 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 yes. 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 Everyone take a deep inhale. Hold it, and exhale. Inhale, exhale. The end of the exercise is done. Can everyone stand up right now? Stand up, shake your hands. Shake your hands and wiggle your fingers and shake your hands. Keep doing it, you're doing great. Keep shaking them, let it go, that's the end of the exercise. Now as you're shaking your hands and wiggling them, I want you to turn around 360 degrees. Please don't injure anyone, keep going around and around. Great, now do the hokey pokey. Wonderful, now take a seat. Okay. Okay, and we're done. Whew. Whew. Hands up if that was intense for you. Hands up if there were tears in there for you. Okay, wait a minute, is it the value in those tears? I'm sorry. I want everyone to work hard to do this, especially the men. I'm giving you 60 seconds. I want you to turn to the person next to you. And I want you to talk out what happened on all those levels during that experience. Do that now. Go. Listen carefully and share as much as you can. Okay, wonderful, my friends. Our time is limited. Let's come back to be focused together. Let's come back to be focused together. Hands up if you're a little surprised how intensely you responded to that. Fine. Would anyone care to share a little of what happened in there for you? Wow, that hand is up. Yes. What's your name, ma'am? Could you stand up for us?
Shira.
Hi, Shira.
Well, so it was really interesting. In the first, or actually your second no, I did feel a sensation in my lower left abdomen, but it completely shifted.
Okay.
But then the shift really happened with you. There was a big auric field, just kind of your auric field started to expand.
Right.
And
so go. It's interesting what happened to me, but now I want to focus on when you felt or saw or sensed whatever you felt or saw or sensed. How did you experience that within you?
Very peaceful, very calm.
Right. Okay.
You know, just really
so first there was something that happened in the lower left abdomen.
Yeah.
Fine. That's interesting. Hold that in mind for a second. Great. Who else wants to play? Yes, that lady whose hand went up over there. Can you stand up first? What's your name?
My name is Yafa.
Yafa. Correct. Good for you.
So
Yes.
when you said the no,
Yes.
I felt my throat like close up.
Throat is closing up. It's very intense.
And my stomach was like clenching.
Clenching stomach. Anyone else have a clenching stomach? Thought there'd be a few of them. Great. Yes.
Closed throat.
Right.
And as you were saying yes, I actually felt my throat open.
Ah.
It was coming from my stomach to my throat. All the place that closed up, I felt like a fly, the image of me flying.
Isn't that interesting? Okay. Now also the image of flying.
Because the no was my image, my father telling me.
Okay. So now what? Now we have a first physical sensation.
And the emotions were fear.
Right, beautiful, sophisticated, yes.
Retreats.
Right, run away, find flight.
And then the yes made me feel like I wanted to fly.
And was there imagery of flying, censoring of flying?
An image of like birds flying.
Right,
Birds flying.
wonderful.
And the no was my father going, no.
Right.
And that was retreating, and the yes was like birds flying.
Wow, birds on your father.
The belief,
Yes.
and the belief of no was, I can do this. Like, it's
Belief, there's a belief, wonderful. Thanks for having enough meta awareness to put all that together.
the belief was that it wasn't safe to do.
I can tell you've done a lot of work in this area. You have
The
a,
belief was that it wasn't
yes.
safe to fly.
Right, you weren't safe to fly. She just did 6 years of psychotherapy right there in front of us. We should all charge her for that. That's $100 each. You should pass that out to the audience. Awesome, Yafa. Thank you so much. Who else had awareness of some of those levels? Old friend in blue over here. Could you stand up for us, ma'am? What's your name? Lisa. Yes.
The no sort of made me feel small, and
I'm going to explore this here. Made me feel emotionally feel small, imagery of small, a belief.
physically, like I felt like receding into myself.
A sense of receding into oneself. Wow, it's intense.
Felt heavy,
Right? Dark, heavy, and scared. It's a lot of stuff in there. Did the yes?
opposite. I started feeling light and open and happy. I was smiling.
Wow. Physical response. Smiles. Isn't that interesting? Thank you for sharing with us, Lisa. Anyone else care? Do men have emotional responses to things in Miami? Is that? Yes, but they still don't talk about it in public. Men, wow. Lisa has a husband who's also. Sir, what's your name?
Evan.
Evan? Yeah. Yes.
So with the nose, I just was totally cut off, feeling nothing. And just recognizing that I'm feeling nothing because it was pushed back, I felt pushed back.
Right.
And with the yes,
Hang on, you felt what?
I recognized that what I felt was pushing back. Like just,
Stop for a second. Did anyone hear an interesting contradiction then? This is a very interesting male response. I felt nothing, and then I was pushing back. It's interesting, right?
okay, yeah.
Right? No, yeah. Keep going.
And with the yeses, I also got a smile on my face.
Uh-huh.
And
That's because your wife was smiling, probably. Right? You're very supportive.
I don't know what I felt.
Uh-huh. A positive feeling. Right. That's pretty interesting. Thank you for sharing, Evan. So there's a lot of interesting things going on here. One second. I want to talk this out for a second. There's something very interesting happening here. Number one, look how intense our response is to stimulus. Now, let's hold in mind that I wasn't really rejecting you. This is not a personal intervention. Except for Yafa, which this whole thing apparently... These are just actors, Yafa, that was... just so you could have that breakthrough, Baruch Hashem. It's your husband's birthday present to you, whoever that is. Say you're welcome. So listen very carefully, it's very, very interesting. Number one, look how intensely we respond to things. Even though you absolutely know I wasn't rejecting you, I don't know you, you know this is shtick, you know this is part of just the exercise, but our body and our thoughts and our beliefs do not recognize it as false. There's this debate that comes up every 10 years in Hollywood where there's some violent movie and a couple of young kids are inspired by the movie and go on a killing spree. And then the lawyers of all the studios come in, someone sues them, and they have this debate, and it happens about the cartoons in Hollywood every 20 years. Do cartoons cause violence? Violent cartoons cause violence in children. So all the psychologists come out and all the court cases come out, and they always come up with the same thing. Let me ask you a question. Do violent cartoons cause violence in children, yes or no? Yes, so that's what you think. It's very interesting. So the question is, the answer, say the psychologist, is no. Why? Because children know the difference between a cartoon and a reality. Let me ask you a question. Do children know the difference between a cartoon and reality? The answer is yes. If you ask a child, is this cartoon a reality? They'll say it's a cartoon. Children know the difference between cartoon and reality, but they don't know the difference between cartoon and reality because they're triggered emotionally, belief system, even though intellectually you can ask the child's not stupid, the child knows. Do you know I was really rejecting you? Do you think I was trying to diminish you? You know, absolutely I wasn't, but still we react. That's a very profound insight. Number 2 is what we saw with our friend Evan over there, which had, I'm not diminishing his individual response, it was a very male response. First of all, he said I had no response, then I was pushing back. That's very interesting. And he also said I was smiling, but I don't know what I was feeling. Now, if I ask someone if you're smiling, what are you feeling? What would you say? Happy. But it's interesting that the inner awareness isn't there. That's not just Evan. That's also John over there. There's no John over there. I'm just joking. So this is a very interesting phenomenon. Watch this, my friends. Let me push one question further. Men often have this issue as well. Hands up if, as a man or as a woman who had this sensitivity, when the nose begun, when you automatically went, oh no, pain, fear, doubt, it came up, and then you suddenly thought, wait, I don't have to feel this, and you just blocked out the no. Hands up high. Watch the hands go up. Watch the hands up high, hands up high. Great. Now, of those people, hands up that when the yeses came in, you also didn't feel them either. Hands up high. There go the hands. This is a very, very deep mechanism. There are many people that suffer abuse, pain, challenge in their youth. And there's many children that collapse. They go down for the rest of their life. But there's many children that are more resilient. And when they realize, I don't have to feel this pain. I can put up a wall, I can put up a block. There's many people that get married, the first marriage, they get to smash to pieces. And they collapse into the gutter. But there's some people that said, I don't have to collapse. I can just block out the pain. That's wonderful. The challenge is when they get to the next marriage, the challenge is when they grow up and someone does love them, someone says yes to them, then suddenly can't feel it. Why can't they feel it? Because they already decided to block it before. And once the mechanism turns on, they can't turn it off. Now let me ask you a question. You're a 6-year-old child, God forbid, you go through tremendous abuse. Is it right to block your heart or wrong to block your heart? Is it right to block your heart or wrong to block your heart? It was right, wrong, yeah, right, wrong, right. The answer is, it's the best tool that they had then. It's the best tool that they had then. But when they turn it on, they often don't know how to turn it off, and it has consequences in life. Isn't it interesting? We saw that play out in real time with people in the room right now. Another insight, hands up if you're still feeling some of the emotional sense from that. Hands up high. Watch this, everybody. Hands up high, hands up high. Okay, hands up if you're still feeling happy from the yeses. Great. Hands up if you're still feeling upset from the no's. Hands up high. Do you see there's much more negativity than positivity? We always hold on in our consciousness, say all the mystical texts and our sages and the Talmud, to negativity more than positivity. We identify more with our Yetzer Hara than with our Yetzer Tov. That's why you discuss with many men you're working with who are in sales, when they can spend all day on the phone with sales, and they're making 50 sales, and the last phone call of the day, someone hangs up at them, and they walk out of the building saying, I'm a failure, I can never achieve at this, right? Because it's that pain of rejection that they take home. We all, by nature, hold on to negativity in our consciousness and resonate with it more, because the mystics say that the Yetzer Hara, the animal self, is more close to reality, and that the positive, holy, divine self is more hidden, and it takes more conscious effort to access that and turn that on. But we don't exert that conscious effort. We usually resonate on desire and lust and ego, and we all know the biggest one, fear, much more than we will joy and love and blessing. That's why gratitude must be activated, it's not automatic. So it's interesting, are people still feeling that? So there's one statement over here. Yes?
You hold on to the negativity or sleep, and your body is set up to do those things to protect.
Set up by who?
I mean, just in general, for survival.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what that means.
Like, let's say if someone's bitten by a dog.
For example, right?
Then maybe when they're 20, they're still going to be scared of dogs.
And is that helping them not be bitten by dogs?
No.
Yes or no?
Not necessarily, but in general,
Statistically, can we find the more scared a person is of dogs, they're less likely to be bitten by dogs? No. I could argue, many of us find that the more scared you are of something, the more likely it's probably going to happen to you. And the mystics actually support that theory. When we say we are set up to be afraid of something once it's happened, because that's for our survival, that is an unbelievable myth, that the more afraid you are of something, the more you'll be protected from it. Most people find that their fear is causative. The more afraid of something, they cause it to happen. The more nervous I am about speaking in public, the more I will compromise my capacity to speak in public, and I'll fail because I'll be stumbling because I'm nervous, and therefore I'll go, you see, I can't speak in public, and I won't do it. It's usually a It's fulfilling prophecy, right? We're all still together? So I totally get what that lady's saying, but we have to challenge that assumption. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying when you said that's how we're set up. So with that funny thing that you have in your head, like I have a funny thing in my head, my challenge is Hashem set us up with that as a default so that we can use our truth to overcome that. And I'm not against evolution as a model. I think as a religious person, you can understand evolution because it's so statistically unlikely that things would develop evolutionally. It would make sense if there was a God who wanted it to push it forward. Right? But I don't believe we're set up that way. I mean, there's a default setting, but there's a conscious self that can choose better. Just because abuse happened to you, you can have love. You know, I always say it's a bit of a confessional thing to say in a group of these people, but when as a rabbi, I counsel students, and you ask people want to get married, and like often girls come to me and they say, I'm going out with a woman, she's wonderful, I'm going out with a guy, he's wonderful, fantastic, talented, sensitive, whatever, but it came from a divorced home. In the religious world, you don't want to come from a divorced home, you don't want your partner, because you know, you want them to come from a quote-unquote good home. And I always say this line, my wife and myself have a wonderful marriage, we have wonderful children, Baruch Hashem. We both come from divorced homes. Sometimes coming from something broken, you become conscious, you become wise, and then you choose smarter next time. So I don't hold that because our nature is once we've suffered, we are destined to suffer. I don't really think you think that either, don't worry, right? But I want to say that that's not how we're designed, and that's what I want to focus on. So watch this very carefully. Let's learn some Torah together. That body sensation is called guf. These are the words. If you like to write this stuff down, you can pick up your pen. I let. And the level of souls and light. Now you don't have to. Don't panic if you don't like the Hebrew. I'm just giving you the terminology. If you read the mystical text, the Balei Musa, the Chassidim, Chazal, the Kabbalah, on a level of soul it's called nefesh. On the level of body it's called guf. The emotions and feelings, the desires, the inclinations are called. What are they called? Midot, Amida. All our sages, the Chassidim, the Vilna Gaon says the purpose of life is to fix your midas, to matakan your midah. The desire, the fear, the lust, the fear. I don't know who that lady is, Lisa, over there. She's grown up in life, she's accomplished things, right? She's doing things, you have children, she has whatever she has, a family success, she's accomplished things in the world, and some guy gets on stage with the microphone and says no, and suddenly she feels small and diminished. It's amazing, big people, how much stuff we carry, right? So that the purpose of life is to be working and refining those things. And because our desires and our midat will inform our actions, our beliefs, etc. More than our beliefs inform our desires form our beliefs. That's just an absolute truth about reality. So they're called midas, and the purpose of life is to fix those midas. Great, the next level up were imagery and memory. Hands up if you saw some kind of imagery and memory pop into your head as I said yes or no. Fine, it's a very interesting thing because when the desire awakens, as the Tanya says, the desire has imagery and memory attached to it. Your midah has imagery and memory attached to it. So when the fear comes up, it doesn't just come up by itself, it projects into your imagery, into dimyon, into your imagination, the imagery that it's associated with the desire. You've got that? Now the dimyon, the imagery and memory is called dimyon. Dimyon. It's also called hihorim. For the religious Jews in the crowd, I'm just giving them the terminologies, they know what's in their text. It's called hihorim, dimyon. We'll come back and explore some of the terms later. Sometimes they're called mechshav zaras. I want to talk a little about dimyon because there's a deep secret in dimyon for us tonight. Dimyon has a few properties. Property number one, you see it, you hear it. It's called tzirei chushi in the Musa text. It's sensory imagery. As opposed to the pure feeling of a midah, the dimyon is sensory images. You see it, you hear it, the birds, my father, right? As Yafa said, was it Yafa? Right? You suddenly see that, and it's very immersive. It's immersive 3D sensory imagery. That's part of dimyon. It's called imagination in English, number one. Another thing you find about dimyon is it's emotionally projected. It's emotionally projected. What that means is when you feel the fear that my father created, right, then I get imagery that comes up from the desire. You understand that? It comes up. And not only does it come up, and this is something you know well, it comes up in a circular way. The nature of Dimyon, it functions as a circle. That's why you lie in bed at night, you're going for a job interview tomorrow and you're afraid of being rejected. So you go through all these cycles and spirals of being rejected all in your life. You go round and round and round. So the Dimyon, the imagination, the Hihurim, you go round and round all these feelings of disconnection. And you try and stop it, you push it out. You try and stop it, you push it out, and it keeps coming back because the emotion is pumping it into reality. And you go round and round, okay? So we find that Dimyon has the power of being sensory, and it has the power of always moving, and it has the power of always spiraling and circling. And then we had something called the beliefs, right? The beliefs came in. That has a certain word. I'm not going to go into that word tonight. I don't want to confuse anyone, but that's also a key part of our consciousness. So we have guf or nefesh. Then we have midas, which are also called the midot, the desires, the drives, which are in the heart, the leiv, the midot. Then we have Dimyon, Hihurim. Everyone just say the word Dimyon. Say it again, Dimyon. Great. Say Midah. That's the leiv. The leiv is the heart, Midah. Great. Say Guf. Body. Guf. Great. Never get someone. Hihurim is another word for Dimyon. Hihurim. We have a whole online program. If you want to get the science of it and go through the words and see the sources, continue in that program. Right now, I'm just giving you enough information to get you to do something very cool, okay? Don't worry about if you lose the Hebrew words. There's people that like that part. I'm giving them that gift. If you're into learning the Hebrew, when you open up our ancient text, you'll see that those words unlock unbelievable secrets in consciousness. Because the secrets of mastery of consciousness in Torah teachings are embedded within the words themselves. So there's a value and beauty. But some people just get overwhelmed by language. Don't get overwhelmed. That's your midot and your hihurim getting overwhelmed. And Hashem loves you and you'll be fine. You better concentrate perfectly in the next 20 minutes anyway. Listen very carefully. There's beliefs. I haven't given the name of beliefs. Just hold it right now. So we saw 4 parts of our consciousness, right? There was one other part of your consciousness that was also activated in there. And I want everybody right now to try and work out what it is. Don't yell it out. Remember I said, I want you to watch as I say yes or no. I want you to watch what happens in your body. I want you to watch what happens in your emotions and feelings. I want you to watch what happens in your imagery and memory. I want you to watch what happens in your beliefs. That's 4. And I'm here to tell you right there when you were in there was another level of consciousness, also functionally very powerful. What was that 5th level of consciousness? What's that? The subconscious. So you want to know, in traditional psychology, the subconscious means dimyonis and down. It means imagination, midas and desires and drives, and it means body level. That is called your subconscious. What's that? Super levels of neshama or higher spiritual states are always functioning, but that's above your consciousness. But even on a conscious level, if you will, there was one extra thing functioning in there. Who can work out what it is? When I tell you, you're going to go, ah. Boom. What's your name, ma'am? What's your name? What's that? Damaris. Wonderful. She got it. When I asked everybody after doing that exercise, turn to the person next to you and tell them what happened. Didn't you all sit there and give it over? How do you know what was happening? Because you were watching it. There was a you that was watching the body. Oh, look, I feel that right there. There was a you that was going, hey, look at the feelings. There was a you but going, isn't this intense, the yes or no? Hands up if you're aware of the you. Wonderful. That's called the watcher part, the observer, the witness. The witness. In Hebrew, what's the word for witness? Does anyone know? Ed. What is this part of our consciousness called? Ed. If I turn around the letters Ed, I get the word Da'ah. Da means to be know and to be aware. This is the part of our consciousness called Da'as. Dat, Chochmah, Bina, that is the true you. It's the you that watches. It's the you that's aware. It's the you that's going, hey, look at that memory and image. Hey, look at that desire. Hey, look how interested it is I'm responding. Hey, this class is going on forever and I am stuck in the middle of it. putting that out there for you, okay? So whatever you are experiencing in life, there's always the you that experiences it. And the true you, the true awareness, the true self, the true essence is called da'at. Sephardi crowd, we'll go on that mahalach, okay? Da'at, wonderful. And there's another thing that's in da'at, which is your will. Your will is the expression and revelation of yourself. When I know who I am, then I know what I want. When I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want. So that's why the will, in Evan's situation, may say, I don't want to feel this, or I want to push back on this because this is not comfortable for me, right? So good. So we have the body, guf. We have the midas, the emotions and feeling. We have the dimyon, the imagery, memory of imagination. We have the beliefs, and we have the self. Here's the $1 million question. You've worked for an hour and a half. If you want perfect concentration, which of these 5 elements, which one do we concentrate with? Oh, da'at, dimyon, midas. Which one is it? The reason you can't concentrate is because you can't answer that question. You see how sophisticated it is what we're doing? Rather than just going concentrate, we're saying this is the parts of our mind. This is all you have to deal with. There are other higher elements, but we didn't go into supernatural states, nor do you have to access supernatural states to be able to concentrate, as you're about to find out. We have 5 levels. You tell me. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Turn to the people next to you in your row. I want you to figure that out. By the way, you can figure this out. Which of these 5 elements, which one do you use to concentrate? Figure it out. Go. 30 seconds. Okay, who's figured it out, my friends? Who's figured it out? Hands up if you have a theory. You have a theory. Have a theory. Don't be afraid to put up your hand. Don't be afraid to have an idea in the world. It won't kill you, I promise. Hands up if you have a theory, what to say. Great, hands up if you think it's das. Okay, hands up if you think it's dimyon. Fine, hands up if you think it's emotions, feelings. Great, hands up if you think it's body, done, concentration on the body. Okay, so who wants to represent each team? Who's absolutely convinced they got it right? Absolutely convinced they've got it right. Well, which one do you say it is? Which one do you say it is? Dat. What's that? Dat. This is the Das. Who's the body team? Who's the Guf team? Yes, go. You represent your team. Stand up. Convince us it's the body. Go.
It's the body because the observer is always there, but it's in the body that the sensations happen. So that way you can, while feeling the sensations, you can monitor what's going on.
Right.
So then you can concentrate.
So it's in the body. You hear it right. It's totally in the body because when you feel in your body, that helps you to concentrate. You got that? Now it's wrong, but I totally get what you said. When you concentrate, you can feel it in your body. When you concentrate, your body is engaged. The question is that what I don't want to concentrate with my body somewhere else, how do I get my body to engage? You see, I'm agreeing with you in the end, I'm joking, we're having fun together, but what we realize, I know someone goes, that, you see, I told you that. When she stood up, I already knew she was wrong, but I know that I'm right. Right, so friends, so this is what's happening here, friends. So you're right, the body is connected to concentration. But you're going to see is like, how do you get the body into concentration? So that's interesting. Okay, so we're upping the ante. Okay, let's go to the secret. Who put lave? Who put midas? Midas? Emotions, feelings. Emotions, feeling. Wow, this hand is up so high, it's bouncing up the ceiling. Sir, with the hat. Yes. Hi, so far so good. Yes. So tell us your theory. What's your theory? Loud and proud.
Hashem is the creator of the world.
Hashem is the creator of the world. That's beautiful and true, but not quite relevant right now. Oh, no, did you want to argue for midas? No. No. Have a wonderful day, sir. did you want to argue midas? No. No one wants to argue midas? No one has their feelings are connected to concentration? Well, Evan, do you think that's true? What's that? Ah, I hear that's interesting. I'm absolutely fascinated that no one wants to own this one. Who? What? Where? Who? You? Go. This is the intelligent one. Go.
I did say me that. Hashem created the world, but Hashem Echad, and Echad is one. So.
You derailed a whole class, sir.
So if we are one, we cannot diverge ourselves with parts, and so we make one with all the parts.
That's true and beautiful. The question is, how are we going to do that? Are you going to argue midas? Go. No, emotions. Yes, go.
When you're emotionally invested in something, it's what drives everything else.
That's exactly the key.
Yes. When
you're emotionally invested in something, it drives everything else. You know that person, I've done on campus many times, some kid tells you I can't succeed in college because I'm ADHD, I have no concentration, right? So I always say to that guy, have you ever been to a party and you meet this girl and she's cool and she's deep and she's whatever, and you start chatting and suddenly it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you look at your watch and you can't believe you're just talking for 4 hours straight? Have you ever had that happen before? Relatively speaking. Well, stop hanging out at these parties. I'm a rabbi, I don't let. Now back to the class. Okay. So I say to that guy, have you ever had that before? I said, yes, you were perfectly focused. Yes. I said, what happened to your ADHD then? What's the answer? When you are emotionally engaged with something, of course you're 100% focused. Who knows Hebrew? What's the Hebrew word to pay attention? Sim lave, to place your heart. Ah. Now it's wrong. But I want you to know it's intelligent. This poor girl, she keeps volunteering. Can you give her a hug for me, please? I'm luckily obliged. There you go. Next one, I'm going to let you get it right. Rabbi, there's no God. You're right, that's true. Well done. It's wrong. Why is it wrong? I mean, it's not wrong what I said. When you're emotionally connected to something, you're 100% focused. It's wrong because it's right, but not helpful. In life, you have to be smart enough to know what's wrong, but you have to be careful of things that are right and not helpful. Because the word for pay attention is sim lave, to place your heart. But what if my heart, most times when we have to do things in life, you know, I'm passionate about that music, I'm passionate about that show, but now I have to go through like accounting for 5.5 hours, I have to work through those forms, I'm not motivated, and when I sit down to pray, open my prayer book, my heart is everywhere else in the world but that prayer book. So if I need my heart to be engaged, to concentrate, I'm never going to be concentrated. The fact that we call it sim lave implies that you have to get the heart to that place. Most ADHD people that go into hyperfocus is when the heart is engaged, they're in hyperfocus, but then they have no control, no mastery over their capacity to concentrate. So the $1 million question is what's the part of our mind that allows our heart to engage? And that part of the mind is? I'm in front of you and you were going to say that. Imagination. Okay, so now we're getting it. Go on, explain it to everyone. Teach them. Stand up. On the chair.
When you have a level of imagination, you're able to break past any boundaries that would hold you back from there. So you're actually able to have a new existence.
Haven't you noticed with imagination that it opens up the heart? Don't you know that imagination is the monkey mind, and we have to destroy it, and we have to negate it, and we have to knock it down? But don't you notice when you have imagination, then your heart becomes engaged with that? Now it's wrong. For the same reason. But how do I get my imagination back in line? And therefore, finally, all you Das people, through a process of elimination, look at her. I knew I was right. They're all dumb, but I'm the one. I knew. I had the doubt. What's your name, ma'am? Rosa. Okay, your moment of truth. Be upstanding. Tell them how dumb they all are. Go. She wants to tell them. Okay, Rebecca's now. Go. Rosa, go on. Why the Das? Go.
Because if you know who you are and you are the witness,
Okay.
who you are,
Right.
and you know what you want.
Boom. Which part of your mind can choose what to focus on? Your Das. Das is the will. It has, I wanted. You see, the mind is wandering. The monkey mind is gone. It's crazy. It's a monkey. It's swinging through the jungle. Your heart is feeling everything in the world. Your body is going after that. It's only your mind that can choose what to focus on. You got it? Yeah. Great. It's wrong. Ha ha. Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong? Don't be so right that it doesn't work. The secret you got to write is when it works. Because how many times you got to concentrate on something and you want to focus on something and you try to focus on something and then your mind goes off in the wrong direction. The secret is what? Concentration is a combination. Oh, I knew it. I told you. I said it was gonna. Didn't I say? I said that. It wasn't you. It was me. I was the one to say that. Hands up if you knew that. Now work out. It's a combination between what? No, it's not all of them. What is it? What is it?
Your body?
No, it's not your body because your mind can't reach your body. My friends, the secret of perfect concentration, it is a combination between Das and Dimion. Ah! And the car goes to, the holiday goes to, come on down. Concentration is a combination between Das, will, consciousness and intent, and imagination. But what about the heart? You have to understand when you get the intention and the imagination together, the heart goes in and then the body goes in. It's not all of them. It results in all of them. But when you want to begin your capacity to get full engagement, you have to know where you begin. And you're going to see why. Now, is this interesting to anyone? Is anyone getting this? Okay. Listen very carefully. We have to do some work on the board. A little Kabbalah. The reason you can't concentrate is because you think concentration is a dot. But concentration isn't a dot, it's a circle. If you like writing things down, write that down because that's going to be the secret for you. The reason you can't concentrate is you think concentration is a dot, but concentration isn't a dot, it's a circle. More accurately, it's a combination between dot and a circle. And this is the Kabbalistic mystical language. You have to bear with me. I'm going to spend 30 seconds on this just to teach you this model, and then you'll understand how it works. Concentration is not a dot. Concentration is a circle. Pretend that was actually round. Let me tell you a secret. Mystically speaking, I just want to explain to you the model, mystically speaking, and then you'll understand it and you'll be able to do it, and it's done. Mystically speaking, isn't it interesting the word da'at sounds like da'at? Mystically speaking, dot represents da'at. Mystically speaking, you'll never see this one coming, the circle represents Dimion. Imagination. The dot represents will. The circle represents imagination. I'll explain this to you in a second. And just to add one more level of depth, which is very important, mystically speaking, dat and a dot is called male. And Dimion in a circle is called female. So, and I'll be careful what I say. Mystically speaking, concentration is a zivug, an intimate, if you will, sexual act between the masculine and feminine parts of our consciousness. And the children they produce is emotion, body engagement, which involves a full, intimate connection relationship. Remember how we talked about connection and relationship? What's the word of a relationship between a man and woman? Connection. The Hebrew word for connection is da'as, right? Da'as, connection. It means, da'at means connection. By the way, da'at is also the Torah's term for sexual bond. And he knew her in a biblical sense. Adam yada et chava. Is that interesting? What does it mean, masculine and feminine? Now, we just did a 2.5-hour class on this in New York City. B'ezrat Hashem will bring it here as well. Please turn phones off. You're going to need full concentration to learn how to concentrate. Thank you. I want to explain to you in 10 seconds. Literally, it's hard for me to do this in less than 2 hours, but you need this in 10 seconds. What is the definition of man and woman in Torah? Now, hold on, man, as I give you the definition. Every man has masculine and feminine, and every woman has masculine and feminine, okay? So these are archetypes and paradigms and bandwidths, but they're absolutely true, and they explain a tremendous amount about human relationships. It's another class for another time. But B'kitzur L'maaseh, in brief, a man represents the seed, the potential, the infinite potential, the idea, the vision. That's the high idea, the high vision. And the woman represents the capacity to bring that potential into reality. The man represents the multi-potential, the vision, the direction, the goal, man and goal focus. He gives the seed. He literally gives the seed in the creation of the child. The woman is the process of mitosis. She takes that idea and she breaks that down into details. Listen very carefully. This is the secret of consultation. She takes the single idea. She takes the seed, the zera. She breaks that down into details, into separate parts, into separate elements. And then she builds and integrates and develops those separate elements. So while he is initiating, he's outside space-time. A man is not limited by space-time. That's why all the male fantasies about fast cars, going fast. They hate waiting for wives to get ready. They know when my wife gives me lunch and she wraps it in a plastic bag and she gives it to me, I'd much rather leave the bag at home and lunch at home rather than drag a bag through my life. I feel like my bag is burdening me. But women like handbags with everything they've ever found on the street for the last 30 years, right? Because they're about details and holding those details and integrating those details and nurturing those details and the process of mitosis, right? So a man is about potential and direction, and a woman, again, man has masculine and feminine, and women have masculine and feminine. This is fine and normal. And women are about taking that idea, breaking it down to separate parts, and experiencing it, and being real, and being, let's talk about something real and tangible. This is why women talk more than men. And that's true. Hands up if you feel that's true, that women talk more than men. Hands up high. Kabbalistically, this is a very deep idea. I want to talk about it now. Women do talk more than men. I know it's true in my house. When I get home, like every day, 6 o'clock whenever I get home, I said to my wife, "Hi, my love, how was your day?" She's like, "Oh my gosh, I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't slept all night, and this kid threw up, and I got him out of bed. I had to change the bed, I had to change the sheets. I finally got him back to bed at 4:30, and I lay there, and the other one has diarrhea. Can you imagine? The first one threw up, and the second one has diarrhea. I just got up, I tossed and turned, I changed the diaper, I changed the sheets. I finally got back to bed, I lay there. One was sleeping on my neck, the other was sleeping on the thigh. I was exhausted. Before, you know how much I have to do today? I was exhausted. Finally, I finally fell asleep at 6 o'clock, and all the kids got up. It's time to get on the bus. I packed the lunch, I packed the bread. I couldn't find Shmuley's shoes. Have you seen Shmuley's shoes? I finally got the shoe the other day. He says new blue boots. The other ones were too small. This one's big enough. I finally got the blue boots. I couldn't find it. Everyone's looking around. The dog found it under the couch. Can you imagine? The dog found it under the couch. We have to get the dog neutered. It's a problem. He's already been around for 2 years. So finally I got them on the bus. The bus came. The bus didn't come. I called up the person once, twice. Where's the bus? I don't know where the bus is. The bus finally came. Finally I got to the store. Oh, Trish was there. Trish had a baby. Mazel tov. Trish's parents are here from Florida. She goes on and on and on and on. Finally she turns to me after 25 minutes and says, "How was your day?" And I say, "Baruch Hashem." Well, what's interesting is when I say Baruch Hashem, that's Judaism for thank God, which is what we say when we don't actually want to express our feelings, which is exactly the point. When I say Baruch Hashem, thank God, I basically feel like I've said everything I need to say. And then I'm happy to run away to my man cave and hide from reality. That man cave is about the retreat, because when men and women are overwhelmed, women like to talk about it because their natural point is about expression. And men like to withdraw because their natural state is non-expression. That's why speech is the power of, you have it in an idea. This is the secret of concentration. When you speak, you have it in an idea and in a sense of something, but it's a singularity, it's a unity. Right? The seed is a singularity, but mitosis means you break it down. When you want to say something, it's within you as a singularity, as a point, but the art form of expression, of eloquence, is to break that down into separate parts, into space and time, into dimensions, and then someone else can understand it, then they can experience it, then it can be known. So it's very interesting in Torah, the word for Eve and Adam and Eve, Adam is the word for Adam. It comes from the root of the word doimem, which literally means silent, a still silent being. So men are, their name is a still silent. It doesn't mean silent as in they have nothing to say. It means their nature is to be in the inner world and not to express. The word Chava, Eve, actually is the root of the word Chava, which means Laila Chavadas. It means to express and to reveal. That's her name, is to express and reveal. The Hebrew word for speech is midaber. Midaber, if you write the word midaber on the board, watch this very carefully. I write it just transliterated for a second. Transliteration is hard. Midaber. I know what that means. Midaber is Hebrew, okay? So mem is causative and daber means a word, but the Hebrew word for word also means a physical, tangible object. So the Hebrew word to speak means to cause to become physical and tangible, which is the property of the woman. You understanding this? Now listen very carefully. What does it mean that a dot and a circle? Das is a dot because a dot means an idea which is not expressed. It has no dimensional expression. It exists, but is not expressed into space-time. Look how the circle, it comes out. It comes out, right? It's expressed. It comes out into the world of dimensions. It comes out into the world of expression. You can see that there? Wonderful. So the dot represents the raw idea. That's the seed. That's the semen, right? Notice how the dot in the circle is the seed within the ova. That's the concept. Have you ever been to a Jewish wedding before? The man stands in the chuppah. What does the woman do? She goes in a circle around them. Because the idea of Jewish marriage is that the potential will be manifest and revealed. That yearning every one of us has. That our inner potential should be revealed. That to do that, you need the combination of the masculine part of self and the feminine part of the self. When the man gets married to the woman, he gives her a ring. He says, "You will be my circle." Do you see how beautiful the subtle parts of our tradition are? Fine. Now, go back to a second. This is why you need both to concentrate. Listen very carefully. The reason you can't concentrate because you think concentration is a dot. You think concentration means I'm going to choose what I'm going to focus on, and then I'm going to focus on it. To give you an example what it means, you think concentration is a dot. You're thinking, I've never thought one time, Rabbi, that concentration was a dot. But let me prove this to you. When I counted back down from 5 to 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I said, focus on the paper cup. Hands up if what you did with your mind is go, paper cup, paper cup, paper cup, paper cup. How did I know you did that? Because you think concentration is done with intent, with will. That's what Rosa was suggesting. Because concentration does require will. What do I want to concentrate on? Where do I place that? You've got that? But you understand, the man wants to focus on a paper cup. And then the woman says, oh, cups, because women free associate. Women free associate. That's their power. That's their strength. They're in mitosis. They're the detail. So when you say the masculine part of your mind says cups, and then the feminine part of your mind says, oh, I saw some great cups at IKEA. We totally have to go buy them. And then the Das says, shut up, woman. I'm thinking about cups. But it has no capacity to make that real intangibles. It just says, shut up, woman. I don't need you. Cups, cups, cups. It's like if a man wanted a child and he went, seed. And the woman said, I'll take that. My toe says, shut up, woman. I'm a powerful man. Seed, 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 seed. Right? So what happens is that the will has to be given over, but then it has to enter into the process of mitosis. That the idea that there's a circle is the idea the woman holds space. That's why a woman is called a house, right? Because she holds space. A person can have values, they can have wisdom, but a house is a place where you nurture and develop those values until they're expressed into hearts and souls and minds to create a new generation from. She is the womb, she is the seed, she is the potential. So my friends, watch this very carefully. What we have to learn to do is we have to learn to take an idea and transition that into the feminine aspect of our mind. The unbelievable irony is the reason we can't concentrate because the male is too dominant and we've disempowered the feminine energy of our consciousness. Talk about an interesting dynamic in 2018. The male is too dominant and doesn't respect the feminine energy. It negates the feminine energy, but then it can't give birth to children, which are feelings and actions that come from our concentration. Are you still with me? Are we still together on this? I know it's 2 hours, and we're moving now towards the conclusion. Therefore, what's the secret of perfect concentration? The male of the mind needs to value the contribution of the woman. I kid you not. Watch this. The secret to shalom bayis, the secret to making relationships work, is that you hear a man complain about his wife, a wife complain about his man. Hurt man. It's 2018, anything's possible. She's so emotional, she's all over the place, he doesn't communicate, he cuts himself off. The secret of making marriage work is the idea of kavod. Kavod means honor. It means you honor the other individual, not in a general sense. The secret of honor is not just say, I respect you, now shut up and sit down. When you honor someone deeply, what it means is that you understand, and here's the secret, that even their greatest weaknesses are signs and hints to their greatest strengths. Even the greatest weaknesses, the greatest failings, is a sign of greatest strength. Many men will complain that their wife is irrational. My dimion is a monkey mind. It's all over the place. It's always emotional. I'm trying to focus on something valuable, and my head just wanders in every other direction. The secret of kavod is malach ha'aretz kavodai. Why is the mind a monkey mind? Why does it wander? Or why does it change? Why does it go around in circles? Why is it emotional? So I'm going to teach you the properties of the feminine part of the mind, and rather than labeling it, you monkey mind, we're going to see, this is what we're going to do. We're going to learn how to do intimacy of the mind. I'm going to tell you what our value is, and if you want to concentrate, you have to give the seed over to the properties and sensitivities of the feminine part of the mind. This is the secret of concentration right now. Here are the feminine properties of the mind. Number one, concentration, dimion, is a circle, round and round. You know how your thoughts always go round and round? I'm lying in bed and I think, they hate me, everybody hates me, nobody likes me, they hate me, everyone hates me, nobody likes me. The time that happened in school, that awful thing happened in school, the awful thing that happened on my street, the awful thing happened with my father, and that awful thing happened in school. My father probably caused that thing in the school. And the thing on the street, oh my gosh, my father, and you know that thing on the street, you know that thing in the school, it goes round and round. Why? Because dimion works like a circle, you've got that? So it must be the secret to good concentration must be circular. We have to leverage, we have to harness that power, number one. Number two, a woman is the process of mitosis. That means it's breaking it down. When I want to focus on one thing, my wife within me doesn't want to focus on one thing. She wants to free associate. Listen very carefully to this. The root of Hebrew words tell us the secret of what that word is. Here is the Hebrew word for dimion, imagination. Every Hebrew word has a 3-letter root. That 3-letter root teaches you the secret and the power of the thing. What is everyone speaks Hebrew here. What is the 3-letter root of the word dimion? That's very interesting. No, but that's something worth exploring. What's that? Doimer. Doimer. So you put a hey in here. If you know the grammar, you'll understand it. What does the word doimer mean? Similar. That's called free association. How does free association work? You think of one idea, and then you jump to something similar but different. Oh, let's think about cups. Oh, there's cups at IKEA. Right? Oh, I had a drink the other night. Oh, I had an argument with my friend when we had a drink. Oh, my friend's not going to speak to me. No one's going to speak to me. I'm going to be alone. I need to have a drink. Oh, cups. And then you go round and round and round. You got that? So A, you have a single point. Second of all, mitosis, you have to break that into details. Third, you have to free associate. And fourth, you have to go round in a circle. Are you following so far? Don't have to remember them. Don't worry, I'm going to make this super easy for you. You're about to be able to do this. It's going to be the easiest thing in your life. And you'll be amazed, not only can you do it, you'll be amazed that it's so easy and obvious. How did I never do this before. Imagine we could teach this to kids in school. Jewish schools, no, imagine we can learn how to do this in prayer and connect to it. You haven't done it yet, you're about to do it. The secret of concentration, my friends, is if the man will respect the properties of the woman, and rather than negating her, not a path of negation, but a path of elevation, elevation comes through understanding what is the properties. And if her mind or dimion or imagination was designed as a circle, designed as details, designed as emotional is great. You know why emotions are great? Because if you get your mind to then think of a circle and ideas, and that affects the emotions, then your emotions get drawn into it, and then we all get hyper-focused, then we get locked in. When you get locked in, you go into flow state. When you're in a flow state, you're so engaged, you're so electrified, you're so creative, you're so resourceful, and then you trigger higher states. That's tomorrow night. Then you get that divine inspiration. I don't even know where that came from, because it came from being in the state. But all that begins by the zivug, the unity, the sexual bond, if you will, between the single point, and then respecting the monkey mind, not to be a monkey, but a powerful woman, that she will free associate, she will go in a circle. So if we create separate pieces and then circle within them, then we will find automatically our mind locks in, our heart locks in, our body locks in, and wonderful things happen. Would you like to experience this for yourself? Yes. Great. Can everyone stand up, please, for a second? Great. Now turn around and look in your chair. Somewhere in there or in your bag, there is one of these. Colorful cards. Everyone hold it up when you get it. Wonderful, wonderful. Everyone sit down, hold it in your hand. I want everybody, go with me for a second here. Look at both lines. I create love in the world. Hashem, which is the word for God, created me holy. Right now I want you to look at these. You don't know what these are yet. You will very well in a moment. And you may want to hold on and take home and never let go of it once you experience its power in a moment. I want you to look at both of these lines. I want you to choose the one that you most resonate with, that you'd most like to connect with at this moment. Choose one. Choose one side, one line that speaks to you more, that you'd like to explore. And hands up and show me which one it is. Point towards me. No, you got the wrong one. Choose the other one. Everyone else got it right. Great. Wonderful. Why are there numbers? Why are there numbers on each word? Who can guess?
It matches.
Hashem matches to I.
That's nice, but that's not exactly what we're focusing on. Pay attention to this. Watch. It's very interesting. What's that? Right. Okay. There's a circle happening here. When you want to focus on one idea, here's the secret of focusing on self-love, for example. If you got a date tomorrow and you feel lonely, you get rejected a lot, God forbid. So you say, someone says you have to work on your self-esteem. So you're like, wow, great, I have to work on my self-esteem. So you sit down and you work out how much love you have for yourself. And how long are you going to think about that for? About 7, 8, 9 seconds. So what you do is, you write on a piece of paper self-esteem, self-love, and then you cross it out. Because concentration is not a dot, it's a circle. And then around that, this is how you can create one of these for yourselves. In the elevation seminars in our online program, we call this a machshava map. You're going to create a map of where your dimion, when your imagination can explore. And you're going to say, start at this station, start at this point, and then move to another point, and then move to another point, and move to another point. Listen very carefully. Your dimion lasts and functions like this. You tell it, let's focus on a cup, and it gets very excited about a cup. It thinks about a cup, the dimensions of the cup, the interest, but it only lasts about 7 or 8 seconds. And after 7 or 8 seconds, what it does is it loses its energy and loses interests, and then it jumps and free associates to cup, drinking. Oh, we had some l'chaims, we had a drink at the bar the other night. So listen very carefully. It runs for 7, 8 seconds. By the way, where do we know the number 7, 8 seconds from in this class? Remember how most people averaged out about 7 or 8 seconds? Now you know why. Isn't that interesting? Then it runs, it stops, it goes to the next station, and then runs on that. It gets energy, but then it runs out of energy. Runs and stops, inspired, runs out of energy, jumps, station to station to station. And then it goes around in a circle. That's how dimion, imagination, works. Now watch this. What you have in front of you, so if you want to focus on self-love, This is how you focus on self-love. You write self-love in the middle of the page, you cross it out. That's what you want to focus on, but you can't focus. You can't go self-love, plastic cup, that's a dot. You think of 4 or 5 times or moments in your life where you felt self-love. You write them around in the position of a circle around it. And then you start on the first one when I stood on the chuppah and I married my wife. Right? And then you focus on that, and then you use the power of imagination, visual imagery, senses, emotions. You think about the colors, the sights, the sounds of being in the wedding and of all our friends there. And that moment I looked in her eyes and she drank the cup and everyone said, Mazel Tov, L'chaim. And you think about that, but you think about that for 7 or 8 seconds. And at the end of 8 seconds, your mind goes, yeah, but now it's miserable and I'm sick and tired and she never takes the garbage out and never any in time. And she used to drive me to the airport, she doesn't drive me to the airport anymore. Because your mind wants to jump into negativity. But at the end of that 7 or 8 seconds, listen very carefully, here's the key word. You jump before you're pushed. And then you go to that second image of self-love. I don't know, the day I graduated from college, all that work, all that effort, and the joy that people thought I couldn't do it, and I would never have the brains, and I really came out top. And you sit, right? And then at the end of 7 or 8 seconds, you start going, and now I've got $150,000 college debt, and I can't even get a job, but look what happened to this country. And then you jump before you're pushed, right? And you go, my first child, and the way I look at that child and the love that we give, right? And you go through that. And then 7, 8, 9 seconds, right? He never writes, he never calls, the Jewish mother syndrome. And when you get through all of them, then what do? You go back to the first one. There I am under the wedding canopy, there in the cup, and you see it again, you feel it again, then you go to the second one, you go to the third, fourth, jump round. Why? Because concentration is a circle, round and round and round. It needs imagery, it needs memories. Women respond to emotional stimulation, give it to her. She responds to that and give it to that. I'm not degrading, there's women who are intellectual, there's men who are emotional. We're just talking interesting, subtle paradigms here in reality. What you have in front of your hands is what we call a machshava map. These are 2 different lines you can choose to engage to. Why is there a number on top of each word? Who knows? Because every word is a station now. Why have I done this way, my friends? Because our Jewish friends in the audience? Because this is the secret of prayer. Baruch Atah Hashem. Every word is a station. Let me tell you what the Baal Shem Tov says. Every word is a world. Every word. But you know why most people can't concentrate in their prayer? Is because they think concentration is a dot. Baruch, I want to think about Baruch, so I said Baruch. Atah, I said Atah. Hashem, Hashem. But then you have to transition, you have to marry, you have to have that moment of sexual intimacy where you think, what does it mean, Baruch? What does it mean to draw in light, to draw in energy, to draw in love, to bring that down, to reveal that Atah, who is Hashem, who is the infinite, who is the one? And then you go around and you start oscillating and spiraling between them, and suddenly, as you're about to find out, amazing things happen. Now on this page, this is what we're going to do. Did I lose one of them? It's right here. I create love in the world. You use whatever one you chose. This is what we're about to do. We're about to sit up in our chairs, uncross our arms and legs. I'm going to help you relax your body, relax your heart and feelings for about 2 minutes. That's what we call Yeshuv Hadat, to return to a settled, still mind and return to our willful mind, and everything else is calm. And then, my friends, I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. And when I get to 1, I'm going to say, start your cycle of going through this. And you're going to go, I. Some people do Hashem, but you're going to start with I. Listen very carefully. And you're going to I. You're going to think, who am I? What does it feel like to be me? What are my unique talents, skills, strength, beautiful abilities? What do I contribute? Am I the person you will see? I'm a rabbi, I'm a teacher, I'm a public speaker. Am I the private person that I don't show? I'm a father, I'm a student, right? Am I my strengths? Am I my weaknesses? What does it feel like to be me? And at 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, you start going, but I'll never come to anything, and I fail at everything, and nobody likes me, and I think I'll eat some worms, right? That's actually a book. I'm not saying I'm going to eat some, I don't know if American got that book. And then you jump before you're pushed. Create. And you start thinking, have you ever written a song, painted a canvas, created children? What does it mean Hashem created the world? How do I create children? What's a moment of inspiration, of creativity you've had? What is it? How do you feel? How much do you love that which you create? What is the word base, reish, aleph? What do the Hebrew letters of creation mean? And you think about it for 7, 8, 9 seconds, and then you go, yeah, but the paintings never sold, and you know how much money I invested in the time of my life, and my brother was always more creative than me. You jump before you're pushed, and you go to love. Ava, love, unity. Who do you love? What kind of loves are there in your life? How does it feel? Who do you adore? What does it mean Hashem loves you? What does it mean Ava, the connection between love and the numerical value 13, unity? And then you jump to world. What is the worlds you inhabit? The physical world, the emotional world, the world of your friends. How does Hashem create the physical world? Oilam, world, means Elam, hidden. How am I hidden in my world? How are my worlds hidden with me? And you explore the worlds. And what do you do when you get to number 4, my friends? Why do you go back to 1? Because concentration is wonderful. And you start, I create, love, world. Hashem created me, holy. What is Hashem? How do I feel? What experience? Created me. Who's the me? Holy. What does it mean? Holy, Kedusha, sanctification, elevation. Who have you ever seen that's holy? What have you experienced that's holy? What is the feeling of holiness? Round and around and around. You use your senses. Because a woman is sensory. She appreciates that. Not all women all the time, but the paradigms are true. So you don't just think, the time I felt love, where were you standing? What time of day was it? What color was it around? How do they look you in the eyes? Engage your senses. You bring it around, round and around. And when you do this, my friends, you may find, by the way, as you go round and around, you may find that slowly, don't try and trigger this, they all start to weave together. You may find that a matrix is created of self-love. A matrix is created of holiness. You may find that other ideas start swimming in because now your heart is being engaged. It draws in all the blessing and all the light. But I don't want you to try and trigger that. I don't want you to create anything. I just want you to focus on the love and the relationship between Das and Dimyon, between dot and circle. And trust in the process that any other goodness that comes from that, the heart, the children, the body, and the higher levels of consciousness may come in. You still with me? Yes. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to come back down from 5 to 1 after I help you relax. And you're going to start going round and round. And you're going to go round and round and round. You're going to enjoy it and have fun, and whatever magic will happen will happen. And if at one point you suddenly get totally distracted, I want you to put up your hand. And I'm going to time whether we can collectively as a group beat 6 or 7 seconds. You got that? Now one little note. At the beginning when you begin, you may suddenly get distracted and other thoughts come in. Listen very carefully. Do not put up your hand then. Because that's normal, because you haven't got into the groove. You haven't done this before. You may want to try jumping a little earlier, jumping a little later. Try it. You can do it. You'll be totally fine. Once you get into the groove, then fly and enjoy it. And then, should you fall out of it, then raise your hand. You got that? And I'll be watching. One other thing. When you raise your hand, don't give up. I've seen your hand. Put it down. Go again. You will get it. And let's see if we can beat 8 seconds. You ready for this? Number 1, everyone stand up in your chair. You've been sitting down for 2 hours, 15 minutes. We have 9 days left. I know people don't like moving their bodies, especially in public, but right now you need energy, and energy will help. I want everyone to do whatever you like to do for yourself to get energy in your body, move around, jump up and down. 20 minutes aerobics, intensive. Michael, you want to learn it? You want to show us how to do it? That's pretty lame, guys. You can do better than that. You can do better. Okay, let's try shaking out the hands. Okay, can people clap? People clap in Miami? Fine, good. Clap with me. That's pretty good. Try this one with me. Take a deep inhale. And exhale. Deep inhale. And exhale. Super deep inhale. Now you don't need the Ritalin for sure. Okay, let's put that together. You ready? And inhale. Wonderful. Take a seat. Take your mantra cards. I want you to read the line a couple of times. You're familiar with this. If you need to read this during, because you may not remember it, put it on the floor in front of you or put it in your lap. But many of you will find you will remember it. You don't need to look at it. Either way is totally fine. Please, one more time, make sure your cell phones are thrown in the bin. And besides that, if you're keeping it, at least turn it off. Wonderful. Here we go. Before we begin, I want you to remind you whether this works or doesn't, you're still a good person. If this works or doesn't, I'm still a good person. I want you to realize when you step into using your mind, the biggest block to having a spiritual experience is the desire to have a spiritual experience. I need this to be good. I need this to work. I need this to heal me. I need this to save me. You don't need to be saved. You don't need anyone to save you. You are saved, you are lovable, you are worthy, you are good. If it works, that's cool. If it doesn't work, you'll try it tomorrow morning and you'll be fine as well. Some people are so blocked, they need to work through some of the blocks to get there, and then it's fine. Most of you, even if you think it's you, won't need that, okay? So throw it away. You don't need it. I will not be emotionally wounded if you come to me at the end of the night say it didn't work. If it works for you tonight, it may not be proof that it will work for you tomorrow. If it doesn't work for you tonight, it may work for the rest of the time. You're tired, it's been a long session, okay? So release the ego, let it go, and just be play. It's fun. I want you to know whatever happens from here on in, we've had a beautiful evening. We've learned, we've grown, we've shared, we've laughed. That's beautiful. A round of applause to us. Can we do that? Yeah. If it doesn't work, it's not a proof there's no God, that Torah is not true. I don't have to ego invest and you don't have to ego invest, okay? So let's give that away and let's just enjoy the fact that a bunch of people in Miami spent a couple of hours on a Sunday night, right, trying and learning about ourselves and learning about our soul and learning about some wisdom tradition. And that's beautiful and that's success. And now it's just a curiosity. Can I do this? Can't. It didn't work. The worst thing is it didn't work. What worked? What happened? Where did it go right? Where did it go wrong? Then we can zoom in and we can learn from it, become smarter and deeper through the process. You hear it? So we've already succeeded. This is a very beautiful evening. And call God to Michael and to the shul for putting it on. And the rest is just interesting exploration. Let's not load it up. Let's tone it down. Let's have a smile on our face and let's explore and see what happens. I create love world. I create love world. Hashem created me holy. I want everyone to close your eyes. Sit up straight on your chair. Uncross your arms and legs. There's no reason to open your eyes during this process. If you find it very hard to close your eyes, that's totally fine. Choose a position or dot on the floor or the color on the cards and just choose to look at it. There's nothing to look at. You don't need to see me. I'm not doing anything interesting. Allow yourself to relax. Allow your body to relax. Allow your shoulders to relax. We're putting our das on our shoulders, and the intention with love and compassion is mamshech rachamim, draws in compassion, and then we just see it there and allow them to relax. Allow your shoulders to feel warm and loose and relaxed, your arms to feel warm and loose and relaxed. Wonderful. Put your attention on your hands, your fingers. Your hands and your fingers are feeling warm and relaxed. Let your fingers just feel like they're melting away, melting away, melting away. You're in a safe place with good people. We can let our guard down. We can feel comfortable and safe. We can be at peace with ourselves. Give yourself permission to do that. Just going to ask the cameras to stop for a moment just so we can tune into ourselves. Allow your fingers and hands to melt away, melt away. Your arms are melting and relaxed. Your fingers are melting and relaxed. Your shoulders are melting and relaxed. Focus on your torso, your body, let it relax. Your front and back, your chest and stomach. Upper and lower back is melting and relaxing. Melting and relaxing. Beautiful. It's okay to trust this. It's very easy and safe. Easy and safe. Your hips, your legs, your feet, your toes, melting down, heavy towards the ground, melting into the ground. Beautiful. Toes melting away. Beautiful. Your body is relaxed, your legs are relaxed, your feet are relaxed, your hands are relaxed, shoulders are warm and relaxed, your head from the top down, a wave of warmth and relaxation coming down, your temples, eye sockets, jaw, everything's relaxing. You are loved, Hashem loves you. Even if you don't believe in Hashem, you're still loved. It's all good. Wonderful. I want everyone to take a deep inhale right now, all the way in. Hold it, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, all the way out, all the way out, all the way out. And when it's out, hold it, 2, 3, 4, and in. Wonderful. Hold it, 2, 3, 4, and out. Hold it, 2, 3, 4. Come back to normal breathing, it's totally fine. Just put your attention on my voice. I want you to know whether you feel calmer or not, it absolutely doesn't matter. Whether you feel more connected or not, it doesn't matter. You were born to concentrate. Hashem, God, gave you a beautiful mind and it's perfect as it is. It does exactly what it needs to do. It's the easiest, most natural thing in the world now that you are given the gift of the wisdom of Torah to understand your mind. So trust that you can do this. And by the way, even if you don't trust, you can still do it. It's still fine. There's nothing you have to believe. There's no state you have to be in. I'm going to get back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to begin. You're going to choose each word one at a time. You're going to focus on it for 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. You're going to explore imagery and associations. Break it down into details, colors, sights, senses, memories, beauty, feelings. What your associations are for each word. Watch it like a movie. Rewind and play it again like a movie. Then go to the next word. Again, up to 10 seconds, the third, the fourth. You don't need to know how long 10 seconds is. Enjoy it and experience it. When you're ready, move to the next. That's totally fine. But keep moving. When you get to the end, around and around. I create, love, world. I create, love, world. Or Hashem created me holy. Hashem created me holy. Enjoy it, get into it. Later in, once you've got the rhythm, should you get distracted, raise your hand just for a second, then go back and try again. You'll totally get it. You were born to do this. You are blessed and whole already. There's nothing you need to achieve or prove. It's just fun. Smile if it's fun for you. It's nice. I wonder what I can do with my mind. Let's play. If it doesn't work, I'll play a bit more. You are loved beyond your capacity to comprehend. Let's enjoy it now together. I create, love, world, or Hashem created me holy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin. colors, sights and sounds, feelings, round and round. Enjoy each one and keep moving them. Round and round. You may find after a bit that they start weaving together. If that happens naturally, allow it to happen. You may find in each of them there's a light that somehow connects them, shines in through them. If that happens, you can allow yourself to open up and fall back and connect to that. Round and round. Sights, sounds, smells, touch. Round and round. Tilt your head back and fall into it. Wonderful. Everyone take a deep breath. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. Hands up if you don't want to come out right now. Hands up high. Hands up if something interesting happened there for you. Hands up if something special happened there for you. Hands up high, every one of you, if something beautiful happened in there for you. Listen very carefully, my friends. Give me your attention for 5 more minutes. Put your attention right here. Hands up if you were basically more or less perfectly concentrated the whole time. Hands up high. Look around the room. Anyone know how long that was? 3 minutes. Round of applause for yourselves, maybe. Hands up if you're a bit shocked to find out you could do that. Hands up high. Okay, everyone with ADHD, hands up if you were able to do it the whole time. Hands up high. Hands up high. Wow, now you can clap, whoever clapped before, okay? What did it feel like? Did anyone have that weaving effect when it came together? Hands up high. Interesting. Did anyone feel there was a kind of light or energy connecting it all? Hands up high. Okay, wow, look at that. Now we're transcending into the higher states of consciousness. Tomorrow we'll learn how to drop everything, then fall into that in a deeper state. Anyone had a beautiful experience, care to share in just a couple of lines what happened? What's that? Colors. Beautiful? Yeah. How do the colors feel? Calm. How do the colors feel? Colors are imagery and memory. Feeling is emotion. Hands up if, as you lock those two in together, you had deep feelings about those things. Hands up high. Right. Hands up if you could feel that in your body. Hands up high. Hands up if you can still feel that energy a little in your body. Do you see what we did? We locked in Das and Dimyon. We took an idea, we created to the feminine energy, suddenly our emotions became engaged, suddenly our body became engaged. Is this interesting to anyone? Do you see how in traditional mindfulness meditation we destroy the monkey mind? Do you understand what the monkey mind is? The monkey mind is Dimyon. Torah says Dimion has a purpose. Do you know what the purpose of imagination is? Imagination is what bridges between the head and heart. You see, you know that because you know that in the negative side. You know that when your heart feels fear, like let's say you're supposed to meet someone at 2 o'clock, they don't turn up to 2:30. And the whole time you're like, don't get angry, don't get angry. And the second they come in, you get furious. Why do you get furious? Because the whole time you feel angry and your heart starts showing images. Remember how that person betrayed you, that person let you down. Remember that relationship. So the heart is getting you into a negative belief system because it's showing you images. Oh, so I destroy the heart. No, your heart you need. It's passion, it's joy, it's energy, it's love, it's connection. But you can learn that your das could choose the imagery and show that to your heart. If you eliminate the monkey mind, you eliminate the capacity to bridge head and heart. All emotional transformation, all fixing and healing comes from showing your heart positive imagery, because all trauma involves the heart seeing negative energy, negative imagery. And if you want to fix your body, and according to Torah and Kabbalah, most disease comes from destructive emotional states. Maimonides said that. It's all the way through Kabbalah. It's in the Talmud itself. That's why they say Shabbos heals. Shabbos is a fool. Why? Because on Shabbos we go into the Vegas, into deeper connection, into deeper light, into deeper stillness, and then it creates that. So if you want to use Dimon, if you dismiss it, if you negate it, then you lose the path to elevate your heart and elevate your mind. This is not concentration, my friends. This is emotional transformation. This is not just emotional transformation, it's motivation. All motivation is when you want to do something, but your heart and your imagery are somewhere else. How do you get them in line? You start between head and Dimion, between Das and Dimion, and then you draw them in the heart, then you draw in the body. Look how easy it is. Give me 60 seconds more. Anyone had a powerful experience they'd like to share? It's a very beautiful, feminine thing to give expression to your inner experience. And when you do, you find it allows other people to come to that state. What's your name? What's that? Mia. Mia? Why, the look on your face when you came out of that state. What's happening? Stand up, stand up. Yes.
Well, I felt very connected to my feminine and accepted and nourished, able to express my femininity in a way that usually the world is kind of, covering us.
Pushing down that a little, right.
And it was so beautiful.
Wow. And you put beautiful, Baruch Hashem. You put yourself in the ADHD category, right?
Yeah, I don't take,
but your concentration was...
I didn't think I would be able to do it.
Right, and there you are. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. Isn't Torah very interesting? Wonderful, thank you. Who else cares to share a little? Cares a little something happened? Yes, ma'am? Can you stand up first? Wow. What was their energy like? What were they like? Calm.
And stable.
Amazing. What's your name? Joan. So Joan jumped to tomorrow's night's class. It's very rude of you just to jump ahead to the class like that. But you will find that when you access these states and then move beyond them, then there are souls and there's energies all around us that influence us that we can make connections with. That's all through our tradition we have that. Isn't that fascinating? Thank you, Joan, for sharing. Who else would care to share? I don't know if men share publicly when they have breakthroughs, but let's put that out there. Anyone else care to share right now? Understand? Yes, ma'am? At the back? Yes? So the lady next to you, I just want to give someone else an opportunity. Yes? Yes?
I was imagining the colors that Hashem created me, and one time I was circling it. When I got to the knee, I saw myself as a baby being born.
What was the experience of that like?
Happy, I was seeing myself coming to the world.
Amazing. Can you feel some of the energy now? Do you feel like some of that?
Yes.
Isn't that fascinating? You see, I keep asking what it feels like. I'm not tuning in only to the feelings. What I'm tuning into is that when you concentrate on something in your information, it's just information. What I'm illustrating is this is going beyond information. this becomes some kind of experience that your whole being experiences as reality, and it becomes transformative. This is what prayer is supposed to be. Baruch atah Hashem, like, every word is a world. You start going into it, and you're transformed. And when your mind locks into that superconscious place, you start channeling. Your higher self takes over and shows you images, healing images, what you need to see, what you need to know. This is the beginning of Ruach HaKodesh, of divine inspiration. This is the very beginning stage of prophecy, which our sages say will return in our generation to the world. That's getting a little ahead of ourselves. I would like to thank you for your openness. I would like to thank you for your courage. Give me 60 seconds. In summary, we took an assumption about reality. We learned Torah, we mapped out our consciousness, and we saw we can do extraordinary things. I do have to thank again Michael Ben Melech and the Lighthouse Project for awesome making this happen. I do have to let you know, tomorrow night we're going much, much deeper into weird stuff and more, because I'm going to show you how deep that rabbit hole goes of your consciousness. I do have to let you know, if you want to learn an entire curriculum of these with sources, with 40 hours of classes of videos, we have a class online. If you go to elevationproject.com, it's called the Elevation Mastery Program. And the team behind it, the people in Jerusalem, they've arranged that you guys can get 40% off if you sign up, and there's a password code. You can get that if you do it in the next week. I don't know how that works. But we are trying just a little about what we're doing. We're trying to create a revolution of consciousness and reveal Torah secrets on this. Imagine our whole communities did this. Imagine we taught this in schools. Imagine we could share and empower others with it. And what we want to do is we want you to come and learn it. It costs money, but we're non-for-profit and we're not even funded. So whatever you're paying, we're not even able. I haven't been paid for 2 years. Literally. So it's really any money you give, the money, it's nominal, and it's really contributing to making this happen and just sharing the wisdom, which is our primary goal. You may want to consider coming back tomorrow if you want something deeper. You may want to consider meeting other family and friends. You will not have need to see tonight to do tomorrow, but we will go deeper. I hope that was meaning for you. I hope you live with it and practice it and spread the word, and may you only know elevation in your life. Thank you.